It's Tuesday, everybody, which means the Divine League is back in action, and I'm so glad to be back with everybody and the Divine Faithful here for another showcase of the talent bringing forth as the regular season trudges on. Hard to believe we're actually, after this week, we only got one more week before we're in playoffs time, and well, we've got two big-time teams here that are on both of them are on one hell of a run right now, trying to solidify their spot in playoffs. Team Ambition Power 4-1 so far, haven't dropped a game since week number 1 Bonfire, and well, they're going to catch a team in Cupid Esports who hasn't dropped a game since week 2.
Yeah, Cupid Esports in a fantastic position to put themselves top of the table. It feels like in this division, it's neck and neck, no team 5-0, and I feel like we see that every Divine League split, there's one team that's just far and ahead better than everyone else. This split, everyone seems to be on even shoulders. They're all in the same crate, watching the game at the same angle. And so it'll be interesting to see if Cupid Esports can get that top spot. This is really an all-important game for them. And I think it's one of the first tests, I'd say, for them to see if they really are that team that can make the run. This TAP squad has a lot of historical relevance. I feel like we talk about this every time we see them. These are just some legendary names on this roster. But if Cupid Esports can knock them down a peg, they'll go joint top of the league, or they'll be close to joint top of the league, and they'll get themselves a pretty big scalp.
Yeah, I don't know too much about the top of the league talk. I think for Cupid Esports right now, it's just holding on to a playoff spot because the way Divine League shakes out this season, 8 teams are going to make our postseason bracket, 4 from each division. This is a Division 2 showcase, and right now, Cupid Esports have a game lead over a Forgotten Kingdom. They're sitting at 3-2, a Forgotten Kingdom at 2-3. So if you're able to take a game off of Team Ambition Power, which would also bump you up in those standings towards maybe a first place spot like you were talking about, it also basically can clear you from even worrying about a Forgotten Kingdom or a team sneaking up from you. So as much as a final week really adds the pressure, you can really feel it here for Cupid Esports. On the other side though, Team Ambition Power, this is a great way to lock yourself up for a playoff spot because the top of Division 2 right now is 3 4-1 squads tied up across the board. You have Team Death Knight's Obsidian's roster, 4-1 on this season. Then there's Team Ambition Power and the Piggy Eat squad that we got to take a look at in week number 2. Just absolutely demolish a Forgotten Kingdom. They're also at 4-1, so it really seems like nobody is safe from grabbing the top spot or being out of playoffs with 2 weeks left in this division.
Yeah, those other two teams that you talked about, Piggy Eats and Team Death Knight's Obsidian, they're nothing to be scoffed at. You know, those are not pretenders. Those are two very, very good teams, so you can't expect them to slow down. You need to get this win if you're Team Ambition Power, because if you don't, you put yourself in a pretty dangerous situation, possibly facing off against a really fantastic team, and that's assuming you do make the playoffs. So for both of these teams, this is a very, very important matchup, and I'm just excited to see both of these teams play. I think both of us were looking at some of the statistics before the game, and these are just some names that are really, getting off on the statistics page, jumping off the sheet. It's really exciting to see these new names and old names alike, really exciting the league. I think Divine has a wealth of talent, and a lot of that comes from these two teams.
You spoke about those old names. You're talking about how people jumping off the stat sheets. I think Team Vision Power, this roster jumps off the resume sheet. I mean, we're talking about legends of the Divine League from a couple of splits past. I Am Sam has made his return to a Team Ambition roster headline in the Divine League after taking a break last split. He was the MVP of the Summer Divine League 2022 Championship Series with an emphatic Darius game. If the old fans remember, I know some of you in chat remember that absolute bonkers game that he had with a pentakill to cap it all off to win Team Ambition a championship in the Divine League. And I do have a fun fact for you, Bonfire. He has played Darius once this season, and of course, in true I Am Sam fashion, went a perfect 8-0-6 en route to a win for his squad. And the thing about Team Vision Power, though, is you could start with I Am Sam, but there's still championship caliber talent on multiple different levels of this roster still.
Yeah, no, they fill out really well. I think I Am Sam in his post-finals MVP interview said that this was a team from top to bottom that was ready to contend for years to come, and they've kept a lot of that core roster. You think about A Bit Bad and Mark Boots, just really headlining that old roster. A lot of those old players, Lokadosi Turk. This is a good team. And as we get into picks and bans, I feel like it's interesting to see if some of these players who have these obvious mains that they really enjoy playing are going to make it into the ban stage, or even into the pick stage, or whether or not they're going to be respected, because you kind of have to respect I Am Sam's Darius, but I feel like every time you talk about something with a pick that they really enjoy, there's always a counter pick to go against them. And then the question is, can you beat your counter pick? And it'll be interesting to see if Cupid Esports thinks that they could be the heartbreakers for I Am Sam and take his main away from him in the most heartbreaking way possible.
Well, Darius certainly has a historical connotation towards I Am Sam, but you look at the rest of his champ pool so far this season. Actually, he's only played one game on Darius. He's really
Yeah.
been loving a lot more of the Jax pick, which also maybe you could argue is one of those main champion picks. He has an emotional attachment to that champion, but Jax is also just rocking the meta. Who wants to be the champ? Jax, the champ of top lane right about now. So I'd be very shocked to see if it doesn't get banned out or picked by I Am Sam or for Rexalis on the Cupid Esports side. And it's really hard when you talk about Team Vision Power because they have multiple lanes where there are just players that have such deep champion pools that we have a lot of historical evidence on. And the two other champions, former champions on Team Vision Power, is Mark Boots, the control mage freak. He has so many champions he can play. And then my personal favorite player on Team Ambition's entire organization, Turk, is an absolute legend as well, was part of that squad. He could play everything from the Enchanter Karma to balling out on the Nautilus. So I'm very interested to see how Cupid Esports decide to attack these champion pools as we start up this first draft.
Yeah, and it should be interesting to see because you got to respect Cupid Esports as well. That support, the supportal combat between Jamarcus and Turk, two of the league's best right there. Jamarcus has put the league on notice with the way that he's been playing, and I think he works so with Nimesum. And so I don't know. I think Cupid Esports have a really good bot lane as well. Derikos, Rexalis, Puffles, MIA. These are good players. These are players that maybe don't get the respect that they deserve because of the brand name. It's not the Team Ambition stamp that you're so used to seeing on this team. It's actually a relatively new organization, but a lot of these players are playing like superstars right now, and I think 3-2 doesn't really reflect that. They're on a 3-game heater right now. If they win this, I think the conversation has to be how far can Cupid Esports make it? But that is a big if. This is a really important matchup, I think, for morale, for playoff standings, for head to head. I know both of these teams would love to get a huge scalp. It's just I don't think we can overstate how important of a regular season game this is.
It's starting to really be that time where regular season games start to feel like postseason previews. And we're finally getting underway with our first draft here. And we can see a couple of really targeted bans coming out here. Loki Dosi has had a couple of pop-off performances so far this split on the Zeri. And I believe that Poppy is thrown over to Derikos' way. So out the gate, it doesn't look like meta's being targeted too much. It's mostly comfort picks. And that will be further illustrated by the GP taken away from I Am Sam. There's one thing you know about I Am Sam. He loves to play the carry top laner as a GP is at the top tier of those champions towards that side of the rift.
Yeah, and then Rengar, assuming this does end up coming through, it's just another example of that. It feels like it's just, I don't want to see your main, I want to see something you're not comfortable on, and it is indeed the Rengar ban, but finally we do have our first meta ban. It's Maokai, and I don't think any of us are really hard pressed to see him Maokai in any of these games. He's terrorizing the bot lane, the jungle. He can even be flex top. An incredibly strong champion in many different lanes. And then we talk about it. I think he's just the king of disengage. An incredibly strong champion. And the Ashe also being hovered. Another very strong champion that in the game that me and you both casted yesterday for Aegis was being first pick. So Ashe, an incredibly strong champion. Another champion we saw first picked yesterday at Aegis, Caitlyn.
Yeah, I love that ban from Team Ambition Power out the gate because I in the probably Jamarquez's best game of the split was on Ashe in their final game before heading into week 6. They're on blue side, so you got to think that's a really strategic ban because Cupid Esports, a lot of times, like you mentioned, we've seen teams first pick that Ashe on the blue side, such a dynamic champion with how she can just create an entire comp around her on her own with those arrows and will be taken away from this game. But still a pretty strong first pick coming across. Caitlyn going to be locked in for name some. And, well, that's a pretty meta response as well. The Varus being hovered, but oh, there's another great one, and I hope this one gets locked in because there's
Oh,
nothing more fun in my mind in Divine League than watching how Turk can affect the game on Karma, and Team Ambition Power have all the faith in their Iron Giant support.
yeah, Karma's an incredibly strong support when put in the right hands. It really comes down to getting that early advantage of having six first. It's the same idea as playing as a Nidalee, and it's also a fantastic team fighter, right? You can shield the entirety of the team, you can root, get some good damage with your Q. It's just a good utility pick, and Turk has made it look like a Swiss Army knife. So I really love that pick. Again, it's the whole idea of like main over meta, but in this case, I think it can be worked as both. I think it's not a bad meta pick either. But I do love this response because Karma wants to ensure that these fights last much longer than anybody on Cupid Esports want them to. Cupid Esports say, we just want to blow you up. We want to ensure that you cannot move. You're constantly being CC'd. And for Karma Varus, with not a lot of mobility, I think that's kind of an issue. So they need to ensure that they can have some peel because one Lux Root or Jarvan Cataclysm, and that's really the bot lane blown up.
Karma's certainly one of the she S tier meta champion actually. So comfort and absolute meta dominance from Turk. Interesting to see if he runs the Comet. He's been running Comet instead of something like Summon Arion. The Karma. Speaking of comfort picks, I gotta think the Xinjiao is a comfort pick here for Derrico. Certainly not as meta as champion like Jarvan, and I certainly do want to talk about the Cupid Esports bottom lane because that is the most aggressive bottom lane I would say on 13.3 pick for you right there. Lux, Caitlyn just want to absolutely dominate the lane with their poke ability from range, shove in these waves constantly, and still be able to harass you from under turret. And they can burst and blow up any target they find. If they find a root, like you said, they can line up the trap combo, with that final spark over top and ace in the hole. Varus and Karma, you could take double summoner heal. You won't survive that combo. So certainly establishing that Namesum and Jamarcus want to dominate the bottom lane early, and it'll be on these junglers to see how they can affect that, battle between the two sides.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is on the Xin Zhao, like you talked about, but we are not going to see I Am Sam on the Darius, but Jax is still available. Now, there is still a ban left for it if they do want to ban out the Jax, but at this point, the top lane pool is getting shrunk to a pretty incredible amount. There's no Poppy, no Maokai, no Gangplank, no Darius, and no Ornn as well, and it is indeed going to be the Jax, at least hovered for a ban, so there with no top laner for the side of Cupid Esports, it still gets still gets shrunk a lot. If I'm Team Ambition Power, I'm grabbing the Jax right
Okay.
now, and I'm making you choose something. I don't think that's a real pick. I'm
There,
almost
there's
positive that's just for fun.
There's no way.
There's no
That
way.
that would be I would argue a Divine League debut if it's a
Okay,
locked in. There we
there
go
we
from
go.
Mark Boots. Still kind of an interesting pick because hasn't played a ton of Akali this split so far. We've seen more Akali actually from Puffle's MIA. So going to steal away that assassin. I was actually expecting if Mark Boots is thinking in that realm of trying to jump on targets and blow them up. He likes the Silas a lot more historically, but decides not to go away
Ooh,
from it. And you did mention the Jax was being hovered as a ban. Camille gets banned out instead for I Am Sam, who has been playing the Jax and the Mundo, which
interesting.
I think are two powerful picks. But Cupid Esports, I've seen a couple of Udyr games from Rexalis, just so unkillable. Sustained game top laner in my mind. And Control Mage locked in here as the response to the Akali from Puffle's MIA, which establishes that Mark Boots, who we haven't seen in this position a lot across Divine League, is going to have the agency in that mid lane battle. And, well, if you leave Jax up on fire for that counter pick, I would be very shocked if I'm Sam. Yep, locks it in. Very comfortable playing into the Udyr. And looking at some of his recent games on Jax, isn't going to be running the Summers, I think a lot of people think.
Yeah, I think Jax is a good pick. I am Sam. Obviously, the comfort is there for him. I'm a little concerned just when I look at the tankiness on Team Ambition power, and I think that if there is anything if this game does go long, that could be their downfall. Like they can blow somebody up. They have the CC. They've got great split push across the map, but if they're forced into objectives, who's going to run across the Caitlyn trap? Like who's going to face check into a Lux? I'm not sure if anybody can. And so if it's an objective fight that they want, I don't think it's an objective fight they're going to be able to take. They do have great split push across the map, and that's really where I think they're going to get their advantages. 1v1s on Xin Zhao and Jax, along with Akali, all very strong mid to late game. But if it comes down to objective fights, I think Cupid Esports might get the tip of the cap. And really, it all comes down to Cupid Esports with Dexeros trying to get trying to get those early dragons. And so I don't know. I think Derikos needs to get those, needs to accelerate the objective fights, and I don't know. We'll have to see where this comes down to.
Certainly a lot of statures set up for this game, number one. A lot of really intriguing lanes because, you know, they're established early game agency for two of these lanes that are a really big provider. And you can see, out the gate, you saw that, Karma Varus certainly kind of want to play maybe a little bit aggressive, but more back. They don't have a lot of mobility. They have to protect themselves. Caitlyn Lux is just going to be all about shoving in the lanes constantly. And it's going to be really interesting to see how a bit bad will be able to respond and try to punish that Caitlyn Lux. And over to the mid lane, Mark Boots, regardless, unless he makes up some sort of couple of miscues against this Azir from Puffle's MIA, will have the agency in that lane. And we've seen for, honestly, it feels like months now, Bonfire, that once Mark Boots has some agency in lane, loves to roam out, no matter, even if he's on a control mage. And this time, he's helming a pretty gosh darn good champion to roam and create action in the side lanes.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's going to come down to, right? You talk about how this Akali can get activated. The only issue I have to see about this, though, is when you're going Azir, you're just always going to have push into an Akali, at least until the mid game. Akali just doesn't have the wave clear that Azir has, and so it just comes down to Akali. You have the mana advantage, right? On an Azir, a mana champion. Akali obviously is an energy champion. You're going to have that advantage. If you can make this Azir burn mana, maybe an early gank from the Xin Zhao could really help with that as well. We talk about how Azir, the mana costs early to be able to dash away with the soldiers is so high. If you're able to get that mana advantage, that's where you're really able to activate. If not, you're just going to be sacking waves in order to roam. And so I think that's actually where a lot of this game is going to be played. If Mark Boots wants to get activated across the map, wants to help out the top and the bot matchups, which are going to be kind of volatile for both of his teammates, needs to ensure wave management. And we've seen that in the past from Mark Boots, but Puffle's MIA isn't too bad at it, and he's gotten a really good champ for it as well. So I think a lot of the game is going to be played in the micro early.
It'll be very intriguing. Obviously, the early game will impact how the game scales up. That's just League of Legends 101. But I think the X factor, and to no surprise, really could be I Am Sam here, because once we get towards that mid game, we start seeing fights come together. You can try and send Puffle's MIA to try and match I Am Sam, but that's a really tough task against a Jackson. He's going to play such a big role in these team fights as well, creating a lot of distance with those soldiers. Because the front line without him there is a little bit, intriguing. How do you protect this Caitlyn Lux? Because this Jarvan from Derikos is going to be diving forward. Udyr can play sort of back, but it's kind of on Azir to create a bubble for his backline. And if he has to go answer the Jax, how does that play into these fights? And it's going to be really intriguing to see how Cupid Esports can execute. They have a lot of good scaling ability, and the way Jarvan's been patched up on 13.3 is absolutely crazy. So certainly some meta picks, and yeah, I'm just really intrigued to see. It feels like ages ago that we saw a Xin Zhao be played, but if anybody's really going to helmet to a really high degree, it's going to be a bit bad. Bursted onto the scene to step in the jungle role for Team Ambition, and it feels like a couple of miscues in the finals away from being the best jungler in the league to close out 2022.
Yeah, no, A Bit Bad is a fantastic jungler. I think actually going back to your previous point about these team fights, in order to ensure that I Am Sam doesn't run rampant, Again, I talk about it. Derikos needs to get activated on these objectives early. If you're taking early dragons and you're forcing 5v5s, again, I'm just not sure how anybody on TAP are able to face check into Jamarcus, into Rexalis, who can just blow somebody up with the obviously with the stuns, the different stances that he has. You're gonna have to walk across traps. It's just gonna be an absolute minefield. It's no man's land if you want to go for dragons, and it's an even game state. So really, I feel like TAP needs to get the side lanes going, needs to pull these members away because he highlighted it perfectly. Puffle's MIA is a necessity in these team fights, and if you pull him away in order to meet a bit bad, or I am Sam, pardon, I just think you're not using him correctly. So a lot of this hinges on these early game dragons and ensuring that you have good map control, good vision, and a lot of that does fall on the jungling. It's really up to see if Derikos can continue his hot streak in the jungle and match up against one of the league's best, or if he's going to fall at the wayside.
Interesting thing to point out there is you're getting a great look. Shout out to the production that we see from the Divine League Caddy behind the scenes because they've helped set up this beautiful way. You get to see the runes before we actually get in the game. And one thing that I saw was intriguing is there's been a lot of debate about the different paths you can take with Varus once you select him, right? There's two real schools of ideology out the gate. You've seen the Comet, I'm going full lethality. Those piercing arrows are going to try and blow up anybody squishy that I can hit. Or you go the on-hit route, which is, more that Immortal Shield Bow, the Rune Ends, the Gunsou's Rage Blade, so you can scale up in these late game fights, and your auto attacks are just doing a ton of damage. That's usually paired with lethal tempo. Loki Dosi is running Conqueror on this Varus now. Certainly is not the rune ideology we've seen from the two trees across a lot of high-level League Legends play, but certainly Bonfire does allude to the idea that Loki Dosi, like we expected from him, is playing for the late game with his AD carry pick.
Yeah, and Loki Dosi just kind of has to sack the early game, right? He can try to go in and fight and battle it out, but it's a Caitlyn Lux, and why try to say anything else than I'll quote the great Slayer. It's the best bot lane. It's the most hard pushing bot lane in the meta right now. Maybe not the best, but at least the most aggressive. And so when you can't beat him, don't join him. Go your own route, and that's exactly what Loki Dosi is trying to do. And I think it's the right move as well. When you're going into a late game Udyr, a late game Jarvan, you're just never going to be able to poke them out, especially with the shielding that they have. There's really no point. And so, especially when the Udyr and the Jarvan are getting in your face, you need to just be able to do consistent damage over time, a lot like an Ashe in that sense, or a Zeri almost, just continuously poking them down. And so, I think it's the right build path for Loki Dosi. Conqueror's a bit interesting, but hey, man, it's Loki Dosi. I'm sure he'll make it work.
There's a reason why we're sitting in front of you on this caster desk and they're playing in the server, right? So they certainly know a bit more than we do and can perform to a even higher level. Before we get into game one, we are getting set here. It looks like that everybody's finally getting into server. I do want to quickly make sure we throw out our series predictions. Bonfire, you can let the draft affect you for game number one because we didn't get to it in the pre-show, but I knew where I was going to sit at, regardless of a complete draft from the squad that I'm backing. I knew exactly where I'm going with this series. I've been known to be a Team Ambition homer, and I'm sorry to everybody at Cupid Esports. I will do it again. I think they will be able to take this one 2-1. This series is too much of a banger, though, late in the regular season. I really hope and don't expect us to only have 2 games.
Yeah, no, I'm actually going to go the other way. I think Cupid Esports has shown their hunger this season, and I think Team Ambition Power has kind of shown that they can take their foot off the gas pedal a little bit. They've been coasting for 4 games. They certainly have the power. I mean, it's in their name, but I do have concerns just from seeing previous iterations of these teams. So I think if they come out of the gate, this could be a 2-0 for them. But if they get caught early in game one, I think that Cupid Esports takes this one 2-1. It'll be really interesting to see, and I'm really excited to see all of these players take the rift.
Certainly 2 teams that are on fire now, right, in a very top-heavy Division 2. We have a lot of interesting champions in play here on both sides. You got the Udyr top. We're actually having a flashless top matchup, by the way, which I think should be very, very interesting. And quickly, as we get things set in game, Bonfire, flashless top, how do you see that playing into how these junglers path? Because we talked about how we expect Derikos and a bit bad to try and affect the bottom lanes, but flashless top just screams gank level 3, right?
Yeah, I think Rexalis is actually in the worst position with Flashless top because I Am Sam can just jump and should be able to get himself out of a lot of different sticky situations. Meanwhile, Rexalis, he wants to go fast. It's actually, I think, more of an aggressive ghost than a defensive ghost. I think I Am Sam should be able to run away. It's kind of, plays both sides. Rexalis is more like, I want to get on top of their, back line. I want to be able to chase down all of their big threats. And so I actually think that this favors a bit bad, right? If you're a bit bad, you want to get your top laner into a good position. You want to ensure that this Jax is activated early. You want to hyper activate this Jax. And so I think I see a bit bad going top early. I think Derikos is just going to say, let the waves crash into you. You're an Udyr. You don't have to worry about it. I think if Rexalis stays the course, should be safe. And I think it will give Derikos the 3v2 advantage if bot, if he chooses to take it.
Well, I have a little bit of surprise for you, Divine Faithful, as I've been informed. We've actually gotten an agreed remake. So they
Ah.
got all the way server side, agreed to remake, get back into lobby. And you can see that they definitely want to get into the game, right? They're speeding through the draft. But what intrigues me is with this remake coming across, that means they handshook to a remake. And this might allude to the idea that there might have been a mistaken rune choice from one of these players. And well, good faith on whichever squad is on the other side of it to agree to rerun this, but intrigued to see where that could be
Okay.
is okay. There
Oh, I
now
don't know.
all caution thrown to the wind. There's what? Okay.
Slayer, you've never heard of the Zed the Zed bot lane? What are you talking about?
I
Someone
honestly
pressed
don't
the
know how to
wrong
react
button.
to this.
Someone pressed the wrong button. Someone must have pressed the wrong button.
So remake number 3.
Third
could
time's
be
the
on
charm.
cards here. Third time is the charm. Listen, man. If you know who's really good at gap closing, Zed. You know who's also very good at
it's
gap
a good
closing,
point.
Bonfire, Rek'Sai.
Yeah, well,
Maybe.
actually, Loki Dosi hasn't played Rek'Sai this split, but we know that he loves the. No, I'm just
Yeah, we don't know
BSing
that.
right now. I have no clue.
No
I
clue.
don't know what's going on. I wish I did. I wish that I had like production in my ear, like this is what's happening. But I don't know. I have no clue what's going on.
So our esteemed production did point out the fact. I know the Conqueror topic was one that we brought up with Loki Dosi. Originally, that was the school of thought that maybe they allowed him to go back, and I assume he'd fall back on lethal tempo. But they might have just messed up the remake draft. So, but how do you even Bonfire? How do you even make that logic? R isn't even. I'm looking on my keyboard.
They messed up the remake. They 100% messed up the remake.
I'm looking at my keyboard here. You all are welcome to do so as well. But as you can see here below you, R is in fact nowhere near V on your keyboard.
So hold on. So R is. Oh man, I'm gonna have to
two above.
Reach over. R is here.
Yep. Top row.
V, yeah, there's just no way. There is just no way.
And then you'd also have to lock. Okay, guys, what's going on? Let's guys, Rek'Sai is disabled. Not funny anymore. I've just disabled him. Okay.
It's not funny anymore, guys.
Him or her. I guess, do we know it?
Yeah, it's the queen. She's the queen.
Is she the Void Queen?
She's the Void Queen. This guy didn't watch the what, it was the call. Remember, it was the call where she came up and she ate Kai'Sa, or she tried to eat Kai'Sa.
Kai'Sa is Kai'Sa's one of the coolest characters in League lore, by the way. Like the half human, half voidling, fighting against the voids.
She's
trying to think, isn't there a superhero comp for that or something? There's got to be a superhero in either Marvel or DC that's I guess it's kind of like Superman, right? Because he's Kryptonian, and then he has to fight Zod, who's also Kryptonian.
Yeah, but he's not. Humans. He has no Earth in him. He's just, he's an immigrant. He decided to come here. He's actually more of a refugee, honestly, if we're being honest. An immigrant. He didn't choose to come here. He just had to because his family, his planet was at war. Anyway, so League of Legends.
Okay, so we have the draft back through the third time. Third time's the charm. There's a reason it's a saying, folks. And I'm intrigued to see once we can run back through the amazing rune graphic. I'm betting money. My money on fire is that Conqueror Forest was a mistake. I don't know where else.
I should. You know what? My issue was that I trusted Loki Dosi. I'm not making that mistake again. Loki Dosi, hold one over. You got the sheep wool over my eyes. Thanks a lot, Loki. I mean, his first name is Loki.
Does that affect your prediction? Are you now going 2-0?
I'm going to go 2-0 now. You're right, Loki Dosi. You jerk. How could you? No, I'm sticking strong. Even if Loki Dosi made me look like a fool on stream. Thanks.
Well, I mean.
Oh, here we go.
Okay, those are the same.
Okay.
Lethal and Grasp. We're the
Sure.
same. This is like a. I need like a drum roll. That drum roll's gonna go on for a very long time. We're nowhere close. They both
We
ran
get like a drum
Conqueror.
solo almost.
Okay. Is that an explosion?
No,
Is that the
it's a
snare?
symbol. It's a symbol. Yeah, it's a
All
snare.
right, they both ran Conqueror mid
All
as
right, here we go.
well.
There's the drum roll.
Okay. Oh, hey, it
Hey!
was. So okay, so he doesn't care about scaling. He's gonna go Comet not Lethal Tempo. He's gonna go Comet Lethality. So I guess Loki Dosi said, "Hey, Bonfire, I actually do want to dominate the lane. I'm not just gonna play my own lane at all."
I respect it. I
So
think
they-
he definitely
okay.
has the skill for it.
First
Loki
of
has the
all-
skill for it. Turk does as well. And look, there's an argument to be made that you can poke out a Caitlyn and a Lux. But I do think you're going to struggle with the Udyr and the Jarvan.
Yeah, good luck getting through the arrows through there. I do want to make sure everybody like golf claps in the chat for Cupid Esports because I don't necessarily believe they had to allow this remake.
Yeah.
I don't know about. I'm not gonna lie to you. I haven't studied my Risen Divine League rulebook anytime soon. Maybe I'll get yelled at by Cole for that one, but I'm pretty sure that you don't have to allow a remake based on runes, and they let Loki Dosi through with it. So now we have the matchup set. We're finally getting back into server, and it will make for a lot more of a bombastic bottom lane. I would be hard pressed if we don't have at least first blood or multiple flashes blown by 5 minutes towards that side of the map in this one.
Yeah, and you have to think a bit bad now actually is thinking maybe I do want to help my bot lane out a little bit more because before when we were under the impression it was Conqueror, I think at least in my eyes a bit bad needs you can just let that lane do their thing. They'll scale up. There's not really any concerns about them getting like dove, and even if there are, you could possibly try to counter it with a top dive. But now that they're actually playing for the early game and they actually have an ability to fight early against Nimesum and Jamarcus, maybe a bit bad changes his pathing because of that. I think I Am Sam Rexalis might actually just be a straight 1v1.
Would be very interesting if we could see that straight 1v1. I will say though, and I know I've been caught saying this during the game before because I've casted Turk a good bit now, Bonfire, but I'll say it out the gate now. Karma is a sneaky damage dealing support.
Oh yeah.
Sometimes, and he rocks Comet on Karma to reinforce those Mantra Qs over top. So it's double Comet bot lane for Team Ambition Power. Maybe they think that this is the most aggressive bottom lane, and that they're going to try and catch both, Nizam and Jamarcus off guard here. I'm just going to reinforce the idea. It's funny because I think we're going to get the biggest snooze fest top side with no flashes. And I think there's going to be at least 5 kills bottom side by the time we get out of early game. Like, if I were a betting man, which I am.
You are a betting. Yeah, I was going to say you are a betting man.
I would bet the over. Yeah, who's going to start? Who wants to start with Divine League bets?
We can't. I know we can't.
What do you mean we can't?
There's no way we could bet on the games that we're casting.
Oh, of course we can. I actually wonder. I would assume that's not a smart move.
What, us betting? No, we shouldn't bet.
But could we run the bet? Like, could we set the lines? Because we have access to
we have good stat sheets. Maybe we'll have a conversation with Cole. It's an interesting prospect.
It would certainly. Hey guys, I'm just saying it would add money to your prize pools. the house winnings directly influence the prize pools across all leagues.
If you want betting, spam 1 in the chat. No, I'm just kidding.
If you want to bet, I mean, you can bet with channel points. There's already betting on Twitch. I'm assuming that all you bet casts your bet who's going to win game number 1.
I'm rich on Travi bucks. I have not spent a single Travi buck in my 2 years casting for Risen.
Are you telling me that you're casually watching the chat? You know what? I don't even care because we're in game. We're in game. We finally made it. We are over 30 minutes since this broadcast kicked off, and Bonfire, the friendly voice of Summoner's Rift, calls out, and everybody shuffles on. We're finally gonna get set for this big-time matchup. Cupid Esports, Team Ambition Power, trying to set themselves up for a postseason spot.
Yeah, who's down with TAP? Yeah, you know me. That's what I'm sure Team Ambition Power are saying right now. A little bit of old school rap right there. They get a ward down and try, but I'm almost positive that was spotted by Jamarcus. So they should know that that's warded. I imagine that they're going to take the safer route, not try to go through try. If they do, then they have a chance of dying, but I don't think they're going to. I think they're going to be safe. I have faith in Cupid that they're not going to make any silly moves. There's another ward being dropped. Neither of those are going to be cleared. So they're going to have eyes on Derrickos to ensure kind of if he goes for anything aggressive, they will know. But they do have no clue about where he's pathing and when. Derrickos, with this timing, probably started top, but they don't know that for sure.
I'd like to point out that Derrickos is rocking a skin on J4 that I would never have expected. That's like the military J4 skin, by the way.
Good skin.
I think that skin's like 7 years old. Or something nuts like that. There's a lot of Jarvan skin. Deciding to pick that one is intriguing. But what's more intriguing is we finally get to see this bottom lane duel. And out the gate, can already tell that they're going to trade blows early. Jamarcus did whiff that first E, trying to get some damage down. Turk getting a lot of poke. And they're jacking for business now, Bonfire. But the minute I stop talking, I guarantee you 2 flashes are blown.
Yeah, I'm a little concerned about that too. We've had that issue in the past, but I'll talk quickly to ensure that doesn't happen. The most interesting that happened, the most interesting thing to point out right there is that sweeper taken early by Turk. So does mean they're going to be able to deny vision and get an early gold, possibly CS lead in the bot side. Ooh. However, it does mean they're not going to be able to get much vision of their own, and that I think is the biggest concern, as Nimesum is 0 for 2 when he's on the broadcast of hitting those Qs.
Who needs level 2 Bonfire when you can just dodge out the extra ability and trade back with double comment? There's Loki Dosi dropping some extra damage down as well. So they don't get level 2 first, but they are able to establish somewhat of a tempo. But the Caitlyn Lux lane is certainly shoving in, and both these junglers started topside, full clear and out path towards bot. Got to think with how both these kits for both a bit bad and Derrickos are strong for level 3 ganking. Could be a fight around that scuttle or pathing bot pretty soon.
Yeah, Derrickos needs to protect his bot side right here. I don't think he has time to get his Krugs. There are concerns. It does look like a bit bad is going to go for his blue buff, but if he wanted to go early into the bot side, that honestly was a free gank. They are going to spot out the vision. So they do have vision there in the bot side to protect themselves from a bit bad. I feel like a bit bad's living up to his name right now. I'm very concerned with how they had pushed up, but a bit bad going to play a bit safer, and it does look like we're going to have that scuttle fight. If they do want to take it, keep an eye on Nimesum right now. Has the first roam if they want to take this battle, and indeed it is going to be the bot lane roaming up first.
Good bit of damage though from a bit bad, but yeah, it's all smoke and mirrors. Is able to just corral that J4, but now we see Puffles MIA is getting jumped on. Knockup's gonna come across the Shuriken as well for Mark Boots, but it's just enough damage for Puffles to be forced to back. Gotta think that's TP advantage already in the hands of Mark Boots, and there's nobody scarier to give that to than Mark Boots. His bot side, Ignite does get dropped onto Turk, but they're not able to follow up damage. Nimesum just too low to get past Loki Dosi. We do finally have our first summoner blown, and Jamarcus is not going to give up that positioning. Does land a nice root over top. Trap will land. Loki Dosi flashes out, and the heal comes across. Cleanse up. Nimesum picks up first blood, and Turk has to flash to save himself.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. It's a symphony in the bot side. Jamarcus, you said his name. He's one of these new supports that if you're a longtime Divine viewer, you probably don't recognize. You should put it on your stat sheet. This guy's been absolutely playing out of his mind this split, and that was another beautiful, beautiful play, and that was on Turk, who honestly, if this is comparable to the NBA, that's like hitting a shot on Chris Paul. Turk, one of the league's best, has constantly been in the position of winning. So maybe not Chris Paul, but a fantastic player.
Out of anybody you could have referenced is
I was thinking assists. I was thinking assists.
I mean, that's fair, but I was expecting like, you know, like an actual top 5 player in the league, not
fair enough.
0 ring CP3.
Yeah, fair enough. The point I was trying to make is Jamarcus getting himself a pretty big scalp right there, and just a fantastic solo bolo. I guess double trouble on the bot side since it was 2v2. Really good, and Puffles MIA. See, this is what I was talking about earlier, though. Mark Boots should be able to get activated earlier if a bit bad. Just constantly soaks up Puffles MIA's mana. Puffles should always be able to get out of this with flash and dash, but it is going to force him to use some mana. And already, look, it's a huge chunk of mana already being used. He's just not going to be able to get that back.
The mental resolve from Puffles MIA is extraordinary. As I Am Sam will also be the first one at level 6. Mark Boots did have perfect execution up. No Emperor's Divide for the Azir. So I got to think that's why the gank came across. Now a bit bad. Content will try and take down this Cloud Drake by himself. There's no vision for Cupid Esports. But Derrickos is in the area hovering. Will path down as I am Sam. These two top lane giants are trading. Takes a turret shot as well. But yeah, here we go. Derrickos spots out the Drake take. Mark Boots will have the first roam and will try and help secure this Cloud Drake. Derrickos flag over the wall. Will make sure to have a little bit of vision on the pit. That scrying orb will also spiral out Mark Boots, but it's all just a big dance. Nothing actually happens, and a bit bad gets at least a little bit back in the neutral objective category for TA Power.
Yeah, I think that's a good move from both teams. Obviously, you're able to roam somebody up. You're able to get the objective like you wanted to. If you are the side of Cupid Esports, no reason to force there. It is the first dragon. I feel like you just gave up control just a little bit too early, and it was going to be an absolute battle to try to get back into the dragon pit. So I think both teams got what they were hoping for. If you're Cupid Esports, obviously you would have loved the dragon. I talked about how early Derrickos probably wanted to start stacking those, but his bot lane getting a kill early ensures that they are going to be able to have first roam on a lot of these other dragons, maybe dragon 2 or 3, and so don't want to go into something you're not comfortable, and ensuring that they don't lose too much for it.
It doesn't really feel like Turk had to blow both summers and barely escaped bot lane trade as he's been playing with this Karma. Still pressing the issue, trying to fire out these Mantra Qs. And Mark Boots totally comfortable taking the harass from the Sand Soldiers. That Shroud will be able to give him a lot more agency in that lane. And, well, I expected a lot more killing blows early game, and we've had anything but that so far. And it won't even happen top lane as Rexalis will be able to spot out a bit bad trying to run for the gank. These jugglers just have zero openings so far, Bonfire.
Yeah, no, it's honestly really interesting to see, and this is why sometimes I'll say that less kills actually is more interesting, because it means that every lane is playing perfectly. I think both of these junglers are top of the league, but here we go.
Marcus trying to take down the Divine League King, but there's a trade of 80 carries. Turk gets ignited, tries for the turn, forces out Jamarcus' flash, and once again, Jamarcus steps up on his lonesome, but his 80 carry can't follow those traits.
Ace in the hold up. I don't know if he'd be able to go for ace in the hole. He does have it up, doesn't have vision of the Karma is the issue. And Lokidosi would just be able to body block it. So Lokidosi, or excuse me, Turk is going to be able to get out of there with his life. Nimesum as well. Lokidosi doing a really good job of being able to ensure that the trade was not going to go for nothing. Got a lot of damage off to Nimesum. Jamarcus, I like the aggression onto Turk there, but recognizing that if he gets rooted, that probably is curtains for this Lux. Health not there for the support, and so instead flashes himself away. Really, really aggressive bot side like we both predicted, but not a lot of kills going out. And again, that speaks to the level that both of these teams have. Playing these fights so incredibly close, neither team making any noticeable mistakes at the moment, at least none that are too crazy.
Ooh, Rexalis might have made that mistake. Both players pop ghosts, but it's all a show. Nothing gonna happen just yet. Turret wave will drop. Rexalis can't stay around here. And I Am Sam will just force him off the turret. Derrickos, yep, was in the area, and as you saw by that fancy little graphic we got for you, picked up the first Rift Herald, which is a good trade neutral objectives. A bit bad. Will be able to counter jungle some up to return it. And yeah, you said it best, Bonfire. You know, it may not be a lot of action, but it just adds pressure to these later fights in the game and just shows how high level league we're really seeing. We might have some action already here. Is a bit bad. Might bite off a little more than he could chew. Really wants that red buff. Now immediately turns, jumps right on top of Nimesum. Has to flash away. The shuriken though lands.
Beautiful.
Mark Boots already styling on the Akali. Doesn't even need the perfect execution until he sends Jamarcus packing. Mark Boots is unlocked, and that's a scary sight for Cupid Esports.
Mark Boots living up to his ultimate's name. That was a perfect execution right there, landing every single ability on Akali. There are some champs in the game where you don't need to land a single ability and you still get the kill, but on Akali, you have to be a high-level player. Mark Boots has shown time and time again he is indeed that guy, and that was just another reminder of what he's here to do. He's not here to get second place, he's here to win championships. What a beautiful play there, and that is going to swing the gold back over to the TAP side. They were in the back seat for just a little bit, but Mark Boots single-handedly getting his team the lead back, and a beautiful, beautiful play there. I think a lot of credit also has to go over to a bit bad. Sometimes you just have to believe in your teammates. Going in early does get rooted up, but knows that Mark Boots is behind him, knows that he has the rest of his team there. And man, what a beautiful play from the mid laner from Team Ambition Power.
And that's what we talked about in the draft, right, Bonfire? I know you really like to harp on the idea that Puffle's MIA really can get low on mana, can really not shut down Mark Boots in that lane, and that allows him to rotate. And we saw that fruit bear in that fight right there. Mark Boots was able to force Puffle's MIA under turret and benefited from the roam, something that we all saw coming, and Mark Boots executed to perfection to give his team back the early lead.
Yeah, he got through the early game, was able to survive early, and at this point, I just don't think this Azir really is that much of a threat to Mark Boots. Also has good enough wave clear that, again, Puffle's MIA has just basically had to be under his tower for quite a long time. But again, I think you have to give quite a bit of credit here, because the jungle mid synergy right now from this Team Ambition Power team is clicking on all fours. Derrickos, I'm not sure if he wants to go for this. If he goes for it, it's certain death.
Yeah, he's got to be careful. Mark Boots once again has the roam over. Puffle's MIA didn't even leave mid lane, and a bit bad, establishing the dragon stack for TAP, and might go for more here as he's going to hover mid lane once again, and it's just to show that he is perfectly fine with the tent he's set up in early game.
Yeah, doing a really good job of ensuring that Mark Boots is comfortable enough. I was talking about the early game lead, being able to survive through the power that Azir has on Akali in the early game. I think also a little bit of a misplay from Puffle's MIA with the rune choice. Going for the Conquer instead of going for that Comet. Normally, you like to see the Comet when you have that range versus melee matchup, just being able to push out the melee champion early on. But I do feel like Mark Boots has played with this Shroud so incredibly well. Every single time we go to mid lane, he's almost always in Shroud getting the minions. Just never getting free hit. Just an unbelievable talent we have in the Divine League in the mid lane.
Certainly balling out, and I will say, to play devil's advocate, Puffle's MIA, you pick the Conqueror so that you can get that healing over time in those late fights when you're just able to auto attack so much with the Sand Shoulders. So Puffle's MIA, to a degree, bought into the idea that he didn't want to dominate the lane. He wanted to be a bigger team fight threat, and Azir certainly can outperform Akali in certain aspects once we get to those team fights. But right now, Shelly's going to finally drop onto the Rift as Derrickos really wants to get some gold into Namesum's pocket. But Mark Boots, as he has all game long, will have first roam. So none of the gold goes to the bot lane. It's only picked up by Derrickos. And that's all because Mark Boots' pressure is enough to dissuade any play.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about with the Conqueror, right? Because it just feels like Puffle's MIA has been, honestly, MIA this game has just not been a factor. Just had to farm underneath towers. Done a good job to his credit, ensuring that he's not completely out of this game and will be good in the late game. But it's also given Mark Boots an avenue to play the way that he wants to, and that's not really an incredibly favorable matchup. Derrickos gets spotted on a ward, so they know that he's there. They might try to steal some gold away, but Puffles is here as well.
A bit bad already having that Gourd Drinker up as well, so he is the mythic item already secured, and he just does not fear anybody on Cupid Esports, and might get punished here for it. The root comes across here from Jamarcus, has to pop Crescent Guard and block all the damage, flashes away, and oh boy, here we go.
Beautiful.
But there's the Emperor's Divide. Beautiful play by Puffle's MIA, might have just saved Jamarcus.
Yeah, but again, it feels like they're playing on the back foot. Team Ambition Power, Jamarcus, ooh, good dodge there, has to be careful. Is indeed going to respect. Yeah, I mean, that's Turk's. That's only Turk's karma, man. I swear Riot has some way of knowing that it's Turk playing, and they're going to give him a little bit of a damage increase. All jokes, of course, but a lot of damage being pushed out. But again, this is what I'm talking about. Team Ambition Power, it feels like they're always on the engaged. They're always on the same page. Even in these fights that they're taking that they're almost losing, they're still taking the fights. They're still the ones pressing the attack, and gotta respect that, and right now it's been all good moves for them.
Doesn't help for that mobility champion in Akali for Cupid Esports. Able to pick up the Hextech Proto Belt. So, even more dash ability. Mark Boots can gap close even better when he picks his target. And I've seen a couple of Akali games from Mark Boots where he absolutely is taking over fights. And you can just tell his impact on the map as you get a look. Nobody's really... actually, unfortunately, it looks like the plating's gold chart didn't work out just yet, but it doesn't really matter too much because it looks like Loki Dosi and Turk are on the cusp of actually knocking down first turret, and topside has been a snooze fest Bonfire, but We see that I'm Sam also dominating the farm department, but here comes the
hold
response. Loki Dosi has to
No,
flash out of the Cataclysm. Flash Gale Force forward from Nimesum, but he doesn't have enough damage over top. The ace in the hole up, but it won't even matter.
Teleport.
And here comes the teleport flank. I am Sam shows up, and Namesum is shut down. He burned all of his summoners to try and pick up the kill, but he is the one to be slain, and Derricos will pay the price as well. Beautiful plays from I Am Sam for the double.
Yeah, and across the map, again, they're getting so much done. They're ensuring that the Udyr is not going to be able to get anything on the top side because of the Mark Boots roam. A Bit Bad was already on the Rift Herald, so they're going to pick that up as well. If you're a fan of Cupid Esports, there's just nothing good you can take from this. They've gotten absolutely zero from this whole play. Oh, but here we go.
There we go. There's a good mantra shield, though, so Loki Dosi's safe, and that's all the cooldowns burned for Jamarcus. Rexalis does finally teleport bot to get his revenge, and he will slay Turk. But now I Am Sam is here, pops out. He's not a golem, he's a character. There will be an ace in the hole to trade it back, though. And now I Am Sam is thrown into the wayside by Peffel's MIA. Ghost is popped by Rexalis, still chasing. Won't be able to get the stun across. Counter-Strike does keep him safe. He tries to turn. Can he knock down Nasum? No. He slays I Am Sam for revenge, and Cupid Esports seem like they could do nothing right. That's a good way to get back into the game, Bonfire.
Yeah, Cupid Esports, they find some life. They're going to be able to get a dragon here as well, so they're showing signs of life. Really good job on the punish. Jamarcus looked like he was over-aggressing there going into 2, but was able to find the route onto Loki Dosi. We talk about how these 80 carries don't have, or how Loki Dosi along with Turk, this bot side, just don't have a lot that they can do. Rexalis trapped in the pit right now. I don't know if A Bit Bad wants this fight. It's only A Bit Bad here right now.
Oh my god, he gets thrown into the Cataclysm. Pressing guard means Nimesum can't do any damage over top, but the melee damage is a lot. Will jump back onto Nimesum. Has the team support. Turks here. Piercing arrow will make sure Loki Dosi makes it a 1-for-1, but he's not finished just yet. Another piercing arrow, a double for Loki Dosi. Sniper get down, and Mark Boots just found a lowly Jamarcus in his own jungle and found that kill as well. TAP, they open the door a bit and slam it shut once more.
Yeah, just when you think Cupid Esports have found some life, you just remember that across the map, this is Team Ambition Power's map to play with. Summoner's Rift, just not anywhere that they can go. Even the fights that they want to take, the respawns are there. Team Ambition Power are showing up in droves, and Mark Boots is just the danger in the jungle. He's the person that your dad tells you to worry about underneath the bed. Mark Boots, there's no Cataclysm on Derricos.
Derricos, yeah, no Cataclysm, but does have Flag and Drag. There's a bit of distance created by Mark Boots. There's the Flag and Drag under turn. Knockup comes across. Will he pick up the kill? A huge shutdown, and he gets his blue buff back.
He gets his blue buff. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to get out here. Flag and Drag is going to ensure his safety. Puffle's MIA helping out his jungler. Again, it's good from Cupid Esports. I don't want to say that these fights aren't good for them, but just feels like a little too late across the map. They're down 5,000, just about 4,000 gold. Pardon me. So they're down about 4,500 gold, but I Am Sam is 2-1-1, Mark Boots is 3-1, and Loki Dosi is 4-2-2. All of the members that need the gold have it. Meanwhile, on the side of Cupid Esports, your mid laner, your Azir, 0-0-1. Just one. It's been a game to forget for Puffle's MIA. Has constantly been pushed under tower. Has had very little to no impact. And Jamarcus, I talked about earlier, he got that bot lane head early, but he's been the punching bag for Team Ambition Power right now. 0-4-2. This Lux just consistently getting bullied. It's kind of what you would expect going into a fed Mark Boots and a fed I Am Sam, but just hasn't been able to get the leads in the mid game that you would expect a Lux to have. And like I said, good plays from Cupid Esports, but is it too little too late?
Yeah, I think you did a great job pointing out something that we didn't get a touch on in draft. It's really starting to show over Team Ambition Power. Xin Zhao has an automatic gap close. Jax can hop onto a target, and Akali very good at gap closing as well. Really punishing Jamarcus' Lux pick, because in a lot of ways, Lux turns out a lot of damage, pretty viable as a damage support, but he's a pretty big standing turret. Jamarcus doesn't have flash, one of the most immobile champions on the map right now.
Yeah, there's just not a lot he can do, and I feel like he's played these fights as well as he can. Don't think he's been caught out too often, but at the end of the day, you just don't have any way to get out, and when Jamarcus' flash is down, he's basically just dead. Derricos isn't going to... Maybe he's going to spot Mark Boots here. Puffle's MIA is close, but they don't know that nobody else is there, and so they're concerned that there's no way that Mark Boots would be by himself, right? He was.
I'm just surprised Derricos, what wherewithal there to Drag to drop the flag onto that bush. It was pink warded, so he was guessing that Mark Boots was recalling in that bush. So shout out his macro play there. There it goes. Spot that one out.
Yeah.
I don't believe there was any other way for him to have spotted the Akali, but at the end of the day, that doesn't actually matter at all because Mark Boots just gets away.
I think it's a pretty common place to back. It's probably, you probably have like a 33% chance of getting that right, assuming you know someone's backing near there. So, I mean, it's good, don't get me wrong, but it's kind of, you know, expected from a high-level jungler like Derrickos.
I love how you just made that statistic up out of nowhere.
Oh, yeah. No, I'm the king of making up statistics. I love to do it. It's my favorite thing to do.
33% chance, 100% of the time.
Oh, yeah. I'm like the Michael Scott of statistics. I just make them up and hope that I'm right. Jamarcus here. I think we might see another death here. Oh, my goodness, a bit bad.
Marcus, good root and flash, though, and there's that flash to keep him safe from the initial contact. Now that thing's down for a whole lot more time, Bonfire, and that effect you talked about comes into play. Jamarcus is a sitting duck against a world of dashes.
Yeah, and with drag up in 33 seconds, I'm not sure how you're able to get Jamarcus into a comfortable position. You also have to talk about a lot of other immobile champions. Nimesum and Puffle's MIA. They can move, sure, but not exactly like an Akali movement or a Jax movement. It's kind of a one-time movement for 10 to 15 seconds, so bit bad. I am Sam. Mark Boots is looking to rain down hellfire on all of these champions that just kind of want to stand still and deal damage. And right now, you see the line that's drawn in the sand. You can't get in your own bot jungle, CE. There's just nowhere for you to go. Don't you know that Valentine's Day has already passed? We have no love for Cupid. Although there might be something here.
I mean, no love for Loki. Dosi immediately has to flash the Cataclysm. Jane's Interruption on the turn. They're going to just blow Derrickos up out of the water. And oh no, here's Mark Boots. Automatically, Jamarcus taken out in a flurry. I am Sam. Chases down Nimesum. The flash means absolutely nothing. Puffle's MIA. A double kill onto I am Sam. And now it's just Rexalis in the middle of all enemies and TAP with the ace.
They have to find an engagement. They had to do that. I see the reason that they needed an angle. And they found something. They got Loki Dosi, but they just didn't have the summoners down. I'm sure they recognized it. It feels like it's getting a bit desperate for the side of Cupid Esports, and that just goes to show it. I think if this was a more even game state, they would not have gone for that. But unfortunately for them, unfortunately for the Cupid Esports faithful, this is the game state. This is where the game is at. Team Ambition is making good to their name. They have the power in this matchup at the moment. Get themselves Baron and the Ace and the Dragon. A 9,000 gold lead for the red side. It is slim pickings right now for Cupid Esports. And I'm just not sure I see an avenue where they win this game. The scaling on I Am Sam. Mark Boots should just be able to blow up these low health members. They can just wait until the soul comes up. They can continuously push in on these inhibs. Feels very difficult for Cupid Esports to find a way back into this game.
And I just love how well they planned out that play, right? You saw earlier, you were talking about how it was so much vision. You could see some of the remnants of it from Team Ambition Power. They just took away that bot side jungle. There was no vision possible, and they let Mark Boots loom there. And they forced Cupid Esports, all right, you can have the top side of the map, but we're going to come around and flank you. Right now, a bit bad. Maybe try to set up that similar flank, but he's all alone. Good crescent guard to force Derrickos off him. But he's still getting jumped on, but it doesn't matter. He is just the bait. Mark Boots is the pure captor. There's a double kill, making a triple for Mark Boots. On the other side, I Am Sam is running amok, and it seems like every time they find TAP sleeping, Mark Boots wakes up the entirety of Cupid Esports. There's a quadra. This will be unofficial, but Mark Boots is going to flash for it, and that's the unofficial penta. Don't let Mark Boots on Akali, ladies and gentlemen.
Mark Boots with the unofficial penta. I'm not sure how that was unofficial. I think the timing just didn't line up, but in my eyes, in my book, that was a penta for Mark Boots. He played that so perfectly. It feels like Mark Boots can just do no wrong in this series right now. He got himself the early advantage on the Azir, and he just hasn't looked back since. Some fancy footwork from Puffle's MIA to get himself under tower, but this is like Footloose right now. No dancing. Oh my goodness.
So immobile, like you talked about. Nimesum didn't have Gale Force. If he throws that net, that's his only gap closer to get away from a bit bad. He's just immediately blown up in an instant, and TAP are not going to stop the assault. A bit bad jumping forward once more. Turk speeding up all of his teammates. They're trying to burn down that front line. and maybe they won't knock down any kills just yet, but hold
Oh
on, a
my
bit
goodness.
bad, still hunting for more, and here's Mark Boots, the executor himself. He will get stunned up, forced into the shroud, pretty low HP, but the target isn't the kills. They're just knocking down every neutral objective in sight. A bit bad is going to play distraction, and watch I Am Sam. He's ignoring everybody. He's going to knock down the Nexus turrets as he actually does turn his sights on the champions and finally will take down the Nexus turret. What a game from Team Ambition Power, who just made a statement win in game number 1 tonight.
Yeah, make no mistake of it. These old guys still have some life in them. An absolute slaughter in game 1. And this was a Cupid Esports team that was building up. This is a team that I think can be competitive, but they did not find their footing in the early game. A bit bad, and Mark Boots ran absolutely rampant. And then I Am Sam with that teleport play got himself 2 kills in the mid game. Just didn't look back since. And I can't believe we're not talking about Lokidosi and Turk. They got gapped a little bit early on in the 2v2, but they played this game as they had the entire season. Their laning does not matter. The rest of their team is going to do a fantastic job of getting their own objectives. And then Lokidosi and Turk, 2 of the best team fighters we have in the bot lane in this entire league, and they showed it right there. The damage pushed out, damage charts right there. I'm honestly surprised that the Azir did that much damage. I felt like just was not doing anything at all this game, but I don't think there's any surprises at Mark Boost's damage.
Yeah, exactly, right? And I will say, it seems like they ignored Puffle's MIA sometimes in that fight, and those soldiers were doing a lot of damage, but who cares about those statistics? Because, man, oh man, just Team Ambition Power as a whole, yeah, sure, Mark Boots led the team in damage, but Lokidosi was right there. I Am Sam came across at nearly 16k, and if anybody wants to play a little bit of fun of an eye trick, if you totally tilt yourself upside down and hang from the ceiling like Spider-Man, that gold chart will look like Mount Everest.
Yeah, it's a lot more like the Dead Sea right now. I think they're going towards Earth's core, and right now that's where TAP wants to be. I also want you to take a gander. Look at the towers and inhibitors and drakes. That is the jungler right there. That's all the jungler in terms of drakes, in terms of barons. You talked about the Rift Herald going 1-for-1 as well. It felt like a bit bad. Just had Derricos' number this game. More than doubled him in damage. Just did a fantastic job of ensuring that this Jarvan had nowhere to go, couldn't get his lanes in good positions, and a bit bad was getting stopped in the early game. We talked about how the Xin Zhao didn't get a lot of angles into the game, but sometimes it's not the kills that you need. It's getting Puffle's MIA under tower. It's pulling the trigger the correct time at the dragon, knowing when you have the advantages. It's ensuring that there has to be bad backs taken. It's ensuring that the gold lead's going to slowly shift towards your side. The CS was better as well, so a bit bad. Played an incredible game in the jungle, was able to get almost every single neutral objective for himself, and the Nexus tower fell, and the Nexus fell afterwards because of it.
Yeah, it was just a complete stomp. Team Ambition Power really flex their muscles in this game number 1 here, and it's now on Cupid Esports to see what kind of reaction can they make. How can they adjust their draft and their play? Figure that out. We're going to take one quick break here, but on the other side we'll have game number 2 draft, see if Cupid Esports got anything special for it. Hope everybody is taking the time to refresh and reset because we are back here for game number 2 between Cupid Esports and Team Ambition Power. Two teams trying to secure themselves a playoff spot as we wind down the Divine League winter split. And if game 1 tells us anything, Bonfire and Team Ambition Power are very, very comfortable in this series.
Yeah, I said that sometimes they have motivation issues, and I think they took that one just a little bit personally. I don't think they're not. I don't think they have any motivation issues to curb stomp Cupid Esports right now. But Cupid Esports aren't just going to lay down and die. I do think they still have some fight left in them, and so this game two should be really interesting because that's why I love best of threes. It gives you a chance to feel out your opponent, kind of see where they like to go with draft, where they like to play, and then make your adjustments. And the best teams adjust well. Sometimes you lose game one, but you can win the next two if you're a great team. And I guess we'll see. Cupid Esports is a great team.
Certainly got to put all their marbles into this basket right about now. And so far, picks and bans, specifically bans, going pretty much the same as game number 1. I mean, we don't even have a side swap as well. Cupid Esports are once again on the blue side with the first pick, and they'll still ban out Malachi, Zeri, and Gangplank. So they go back to the drawing board after a lopsided game 1 loss, and they don't think the bans were the issue.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if they do not ban out a Kali or the Jax. I think they're probably going to let them sit until the second ban phase. Obviously, I am Sam still very prevalent in quite a lot of different top laners, but Jax just feels like a cheat code, right? It's something that he's used to. It's incredibly meta. I'm also a little surprised they left the Karma up. So obviously they have a reason for all of this. They can't ban every single champion, so they have to choose wisely. But I will say the one ban that really surprises me is that Zeri. Don't think Zeri is the champion she used to be, and Lokidosi certainly plays her well, but I'm not sure it's the threat they think it is. But obviously, they know something I don't. I'm sure they've screamed against each other, and Lokidosi has raised hell on the Hellraiser that is Zeri. It is going to be a Varus pick, which I love from Cupid Esports. Just was an absolute terrorizer on Lokidosi last game.
Yeah, Lokidosi won't be able to handle that Varus, so we do see the changes coming across there now. Gonna end up throwing Nimesum on the Varus, so the corrupted Archer gets brought over to the Cupid Esports side, and this time it looks like Lokidosi, excuse me, I'm getting my people switched up, a bit bad, maybe wants to helm the J4. Will get locked in. He does have a lot of games on J4. He's been spamming it, I believe, for the last 6 games that he played on Jarvan. In the Divine League, excuse me, was on Jarvan, so lock that in. And Rakan, who recently was buffed up, will be locked in for Turk. Just such a dynamic support, one of the most dynamic supports in the game, I would argue. And putting it in Turk's hands is pretty scary.
Yeah, you'd have to believe that's going to be the Zaya alongside the Rakan. Obviously, they're the best duo to pair alongside each other. The lovers trying to break Cupid's heart at the moment, but it could go somewhere else. Rakan still does have some very other good lane mashups. Kind of like a lot like Karma, actually, in the sense of just a good Swiss Army knife can do a lot of different things. Different things than Karma, but still a lot of different things. And they're going to flip the script again, going with the theme of switching teams. Akali being picked up for Puffles MIA.
Puffles MIA does have, I believe, more games, at least this split on the Akali, but we already saw Mark Boots. Once again, if you're a longstanding fan of the Divine League, you've been watching me in Bonfire for a while. First of all, thank you. Appreciate you. Second of all, you've seen Mark Boots as Akali plenty enough. So now we get to see how Puffles MIA responds. Certainly a completely different play style to the champion he helmed in game number 1, and the lovers are locked in. It's February, Bonfire. We're past Valentine's Day, but love is still in the air, at least in the Divine League.
Yeah, I don't love this. I hate this, though. I do not like Zaya Rakan, at least in this meta. I'm sorry.
They both got buffed.
I know they both got buffed. I know they're both strong. I just find issues with their range. I think going into a Varus as Zaya can be really difficult. Just the poke is going to come out. It feels like it's very feast or famine. And so the one backstep I will say is it is Lokidosi Turk. Like, they can feast more than they will famine. I do think if anybody's going to pick it, I think they will have success. They do like to be weak-sided, so I get it. But I don't love that pick, but we'll see. We'll see. I think Lokidosi does actually play these kind of, let me do my own thing for a while and I'll scale up champions really well. It also gives him basically a second cleanse with the ultimate. So I'm talking myself into actually liking this pick, but initial reaction was don't love it.
Yeah, that's a hot take. See how that one plays out, because those two just were buffed mightily going into 13.3. I would assume that in the meta, those are two at least A plus tier champions. And being helmed by the very solid Loki Dosi Turk bottom lane, I think will be very, very monumental. But regardless, we're in the next phase of bans, and we're already going through with the same bans here from Cupid Esports. This time they'll hover the Galio, which Mark Boots does also like to pull out sometimes. Playmaking support in the mid lane. They will ban it away. And now I'm curious, do you just go right back to the well and lock in I Am Sam on that Jax? Or do they want him on a more team fight oriented mid lane, top laner? They're going to put Mark Boots on a team fight oriented mid laner, hovering the Orianna. He loves those mages, and Orianna with that command Shockwave. You put it on J4 with that Cataclysm, everybody's getting thrown into that thing regardless how much they want to get out.
Yeah, and it's the same idea as Puffle's MIA going Azir in the last matchup. I think Orianna does well into Akali in the early game. It'll be interesting to see if Mark Boots can get the one up on Puffle's MIA. Last game, I kind of expected Azir to dominate a little bit more in the early game than he actually did, as he was falling behind and just had to keep sacking waves underneath his tower. So it'll be interesting to see if Puffle's MIA a little bit more experience on the Akali. And is that a Blitzcrank? It is a Blitzcrank, and
Jamarcus does play Blitz.
I like that pick a lot because look at all the people he can hook: Orianna, Rakan, Zaya. I mean, these are champions. These are champions, especially Orianna. That if you get them, I feel like you get them.
I think this could really bite Cupid Esports in the butt.
Okay.
So ball delivery system is what I like to call Rakan Orianna. That's in play because you stick the ball on Rakan, he charms everybody up, command Shockwave, and then having the Cataclysm over at top. This could be League of Legends art in the right team fight. The problem is, great way to gap close is get hooked by Blitz. So if a bit bad gets hooked by this Blitzcrank, if you hook in Turk as well, you may just be delivering that system right to your team. Certainly does have a lot of early game applications. I think with the Varus, a lot of pressure in that lane, and Jamarcus has already performed on the Blitzcrank off stream. It's now time to step up onto the big boy stage and show what you're made of. And I also can guarantee you that they're going for the Wombo bonfire. That's his first Yasuo game this split. So
hey,
man, Team Ambition Power, they don't just want to win this game. They want to make art on Summoner's Rift with this combo. This all goes well. This is spicy.
Yeah, they have go buttons. I'm not sure
yeah.
how to feel. No, I know, but I'm trying to go through my head all the checks. I have like a little checklist that I like to, oh, do I like this draft? Do I not like this draft? There are some checks. I don't know. I don't know how I feel about it. I really don't. This Jarvan cannot fall behind. If this Jarvan falls behind, this delivery system's gonna get blown up by a Varus and an Akali. I think that's my biggest concern is if you go, I think you have to go poke Varus, and I think you have to go just to blow up the low health members of Akali. I think that this is I mean, Mark Boots, if you can get out of this game without getting absolutely blown up in a lot of these team fights, hats off to you, because I'm not sure how you're able to get away from a Blitzcrank, and Akali, a Sejuani, a Varus, and Ornn. Like, this is a very, very difficult game for Orianna. Especially, I mean, a bit bad. There's so much pressure on him.
It's interesting how you're seeing this, because you could use the very same argument on the other side, because J4 jumps forward, Rakan has the charm, there's the disruption of Shockwave. Varus is a pretty immobile champion. Zaya has protections in place.
Yeah, but there's an Ornn and a Sejuani. Like, they do have frontline.
There's
That's what I'm saying.
on both sides. There's frontline.
There's a Jarvan versus an Ornn and a Sejuani.
There certainly is a lot of disruption that can come and play to this game. It's really who can desync the other squad who try to go in, and that does lead to some bombastic team fights. And listen, man, off the gate, I just want to see the poetry that comp for Team Mission Power is. It's really a shot call, because you have to line everything up at the right time. There's so many places where this can go wrong. The ideal comp, obviously, is that you're gonna stick the ball on Turk. He's gonna charm up 3 or 4 members. You're gonna have a bit bad coming over top with the Cataclysm. Then you command Shockwave, and as that short knock-up time is coming across, you then have I Am Sam's Yasuo ulting over top. it would be beautiful to watch, but it's very hard to execute. That's every single ultimate outside of Loki Dosi lining up, and there are a lot of disruptors. Derricos' Glacial Prison can make this a problem. Call the Forge God from Rixalis can also make this a very, very big issue.
What are we
As
doing, guys? Guys, what are we doing here?
I'm
Okay.
curious. I guess maybe if we could hear from production, if that was a miscue. I don't know if they agreed on this. I don't know why Graves is locked in.
I'm
I
not
will say
sure
very
either.
quickly, Derricos does have a couple Graves games. He likes to play, those carry-oriented junglers. That's why the
A-
Rengar gets banned
And
out for
it
him.
it does make sense into a bit bad. Graves into Jarvan's really good because of the Cataclysm encounter, right? If you get the Graves inside of the Cataclysm, he just feels incredibly comfortable. He's able to throw his grenade into the ground to get all of the max damage, dash himself away. And I think Graves does feel comfortable into this comp because of all the dashes he has. I'm not sure if that's what he picked.
He did pick.
I
It's
He
confirmed.
did pick.
Graves
Okay,
is,
okay,
is
all right.
Graves over Sejuani. So
Well,
that
I
front
mean,
line you were
it's
talking
good.
about just
Yeah,
looks
no, it's good in that sense, but that front line's getting that front line's kind of getting shrunk down a little bit. They do still have a Blitzcrank and an Ornn. Okay, here's what I'll say. Here's what I'll say. If the Wombo happens, there is no way anybody stands a
There's
chance on the
nobody.
side of Cupid Esports.
You could put FlyQuest on the other end of that Wombo combo, and they wouldn't do anything about it. No, I'm saying if they are caught in it. Like,
Okay,
it doesn't
okay.
matter what players you're putting against this Wombo. Like,
Okay.
they're dead.
Okay, I
Like,
thought you were
nobody
saying like
survives this.
I
No.
thought you were saying against this
No.
T-Pow.
No. If the Wombo goes to perfection, there is no player. There could be 5 fakers. I don't care. They're all dying.
Yeah, no, I agree, and that's kind of what they're hinging on. It feels like a heat check right now for Team Ambition Power. They want to do something fun. There are still applications in these lanes as well. I think Orianna versus Akali makes sense. Ornn versus Yasuo should be pretty resident sleeper, but you should get a lead on I Am Sam, which is good to see. I think Lokadosi and Turk's going to have issues into Jamarcus and Nimesum, but we'll see. I just think there's a range disadvantage for this Zaya. I just don't know how you farm up into a, poke Varus, but I do think that this isn't like a meme comp for them. There is applicable reasons why they chose them, but I mean, we've both highlighted it. They do need the Wombo to feasibly win these fights.
They definitely have
At least a mini
snowball
Wombo. At least a
aspects.
mini Wombo.
Yeah, to win any fight, they have to line up ultimates. I mean, that's true of a lot of compositions. It's just not as obvious as the one
Right.
drafted by Team Ambition Power. Well, they've gone through the client side draft, so now we're gonna get a look at some of these runes: Grasp, Lethal Tempo.
Makes
Curious
sense.
to see if we see anything surprising from either one of these squads.
I want to see what the Varus goes, because last game we talked about how important it was. It'll be interesting to see. Those both look very normal.
Oh, no Conqueror Jarvan actually, so that's
Oh yeah,
pure
you're right.
tank
Actually, good point.
from a bit bad. So he doesn't care about doing
Needs
damage.
to.
He is just here
needs to.
Yeah, he's just here to be the tank. So good eye there when you highlight it. There's no front line here. But Guardian is very, very weird. I don't know if this is a remake again. Summon Airy on... Okay.
I think that makes
Okay.
sense.
These runes are getting weirder and weirder by the minute. Hail of Blades Varus.
Okay.
Right,
All
guys.
right.
What are we doing?
I think this is
Okay.
legit, though. I think this is actual legit. I just think these are.
Guardian J4 jungle is wacky. I mean, I
Yeah.
guess if he just doesn't want to die, like, at all.
I mean, I guess he recognizes his role, right? Like, nobody on your team. I mean, it's you and the Yasuo are the really only 2 members that have any health at all. Normally, when I talk about not having a tank, it's like 2 bruisers. There's like 1 bruiser, and it's Jarvan, so he has to go full tank. Yeah, I don't know. Should be really, really fun to watch. Hey, could you hope for anything else more? Honestly.
So we've gotten confirmation. The Guardian is intended.
Oh
So,
my goodness.
Our producers were afraid this was a remake again, which is honestly valid.
Okay.
But no, Guardian J4 is on purpose, and we'll see. Okay, yeah, that does make sense. Guardian on Rakan is meta, right? Like, that makes sense. And then Blitzcrank with that slow, so when you get hooked, even more time that you're stuck in front of the burst damage that he applies to the rest of his team. So, yeah, a lot of interesting choices. I Am Sam won't go for the Ignite in the top lane. Won't try to chat his way into an early game win. He'll go teleport. No Ignites in this game except for the supports. So the summoners look pretty obvious to what you'd expect from a game based on the meta, but the runes are hiding a secret.
They threw Nimesum, so this is interesting actually. Whenever there's a Yasuo and they've got a little bit of a burst, they've got the knockup combo, you almost always will see an exhaust. And so they threw Nimesum on exhaust duty. Normally you'd see it on your mid laner, assuming it's a control mage. Not going to do that. Obviously, Puffles wants to be able to get into these team fights, wants to be able to move across the map a bit more. So Nimesum is the one who's stuck with the exhaust duty. But that's important that they at least picked it, right? Because when there's a Yasuo, you could have 5 fakers, but maybe if the Yasuo gets exhausted and they don't land every single ultimate, some
Wow.
people look. I'm making an argument
A lot
why
of
you
kidding.
should choose exhaust, right? At the
Oh
end of the
yeah.
day, you always pick exhaust when you're going into a Yasuo, and so I think it makes sense. It's just interesting that it's going on Nimesum and not Jamarcus or Puffles MIA.
Yeah, certainly interesting. I do like the play though because I was thinking originally when we think about against Wombo comps, it's like, oh, the AD carry, immobile AD carry, you got to go cleanse. But there's
All
nothing that
knockup.
really is good to cleanse against this
It's
Wombo. The only thing that would be helpful cleansing is Recon Charm. But
or a root from Zaya. It's just not
yeah, but
consistent
the
enough.
roots don't matter. Yeah, so
Yeah.
everything else is knockups, pseudo knockups, locking into a place with a cataclysm. So I actually like this. Very smart here to rock the exhaust well. We had a game one where the draft didn't really, it's exciting to watch Divine League. It's exciting to cast Divine League regardless, but no drafts have really gotten, I don't say blood boiling, my nerves jittery. I'm excited. I'm excited, Bonfire. And this draft and these rune choices from both these squads, it's going to be exciting. And we're getting set here to get on the Summoners Rift very, very soon.
Yeah, I think both of these teams
Oh,
have
there we go.
legit comps. And wow, it's beautiful Summoner's Rift, just like that.
Yeah, in a blink of an eye, and now we are finally locked and loaded for game 2. Cupid Esports trying to hold on to a spot in the playoffs here. Currently the 4th seed in Division 2. You're not allowed to have a game.
That was a fun game. I'm glad we watched that.
Great job, guys.
Thanks for tuning in, guys. We appreciate you tuning into Divine
See
League.
you later.
We'll see you
Draft
next
on
week.
Friday. Stop on Saturday. Nah, just kidding. Looks like we're running into some technical issues. But hey, you got to see the champions moving for a bit.
Yes, that is true.
Whole 10 seconds.
What do you think the odds are that they were like, oh wait, actually, those runes weren't correct?
Well, Turk himself said the
This is
Guardian
true.
was
This is
locked
true.
in for a bit bad.
Turk's a
So
little
what-
stinker though. He likes to have fun. Maybe he's no. I
Maybe
think
Knives was like, hey guys, Hail of Blades was actually haha funny moment. Let's go remake again. We gave you a remake, now I get a remake by Varus.
Yeah.
I
No, I think this is legit. I think just probably someone's lagging a little bit, and indeed, that seems to be the issue. So we're back.
Okay, I'm a little cautious, I'm not gonna lie. So I'm gonna wait a bit out here. But does seem like we're finally on the Rift here. And all those rune choices, interested to see how they pay off. Mark Boots obviously handicapping his jungle a little bit with Summoner Airy, but does give added bonuses later into the game. Guardian means that a bit bad is... I'm curious to see what Mythic he goes, right? Because the hot item build path has been like Gore Drinker. You go like the Bruiser J4 and you jump in with your shield and that Gore Drinker sustain. You can just steal a bunch of HP back, even though you don't have a lot of resistances. Now... I'm curious how he decides to build, so we'll see how that plays out. You also talked about how if you're Jarvan, you can't get behind, but I'm curious, Bonfire, if you're just accepting you're a tank, getting behind doesn't matter as much, right?
Yes, but it does also mean that you're less tanky. And
Yeah.
so that's kind of what I mean is that I feel like a bit bad needs to be as tanky as he can be, right? This needs to be one of the tankiest Jarvans I've ever seen because, again, if you're forcing I Am Sam to eat these hooks and you're forcing I Am Sam to, be the first one in these bushes, I think it's just going to be a problem. So I just think it needs to be the tankiest Jarvan maybe of all time, but we'll see. Ooh, Jamarc's in a good position, though, but I just don't think you want to go for these hooks early on, although he's kind of looking for something here.
Maybe he's just trying to apply pressure. At this point, I'm surprised he hasn't thrown a hook at. He's level 1 I Am Sam. Man, already got the lethal tempo
Oh,
going.
my goodness.
Rexalis is in a world of pain. And I Am Sam already trying to establish tempo there. And level 1s even might be intriguing in the mid lane, but that might be the one lane where level 2-1 doesn't really make that much of a difference. Jamarcus and Cupid Esports will grab level 2 for the second game in a row. We'll see if he can line up a hook. Turk is just playing bodyguard. And no, they won't be able to get much, and they're going to decide to roam up and invade here. So they're going to try and play the information
Oh, they're
game.
gonna get so much
and that
information
ward-
here.
Yeah, the ward dropped off, so they will drop that ward, and they see a bit bad. hasn't cleared his blue side just yet, and they'll catch him going right for that blue buff.
Yeah, and it just gives so much information over to Derricos. Derricos can really do anything he wants with it right now because he knows that it was a top side start for a bit bad, and he started in the bot side. So it's not like, oh, I know you're going to be near me. It's like, oh, I know you're not going to be top anytime soon. And then look at the positioning of I Am Sam. If I Am Sam, I'm sure they're yelling to him like, hey, they might have dropped a ward. Careful top, careful top. And indeed, he is going to play a bit more careful top, but Derricos has a window here where he might have a 2v1 in the top side. They could possibly try to pull the trigger here.
Very, very smart observations, and I'm glad to see that I Am Sam is playing cautious. He hasn't dropped a ward yet. I just believe he just got another ward back into his inventory, so he will path over and drop it. Now,
There we go. Okay.
Perfect timing. So he will have an idea if the gank comes down, but still just in such an aggressive position, and you can see how the Cupid Esports bot lane is backed up because they might be able to see a bit bad now, but they have an idea that he's still looming in that bottom jungle. And he's going to set his sight back on mid here. He had an early gank in the first game to set up Mark Boots. Try to do that again, but Puffle's MIA, word to the wiser this time, won't even be affected. Oh,
yeah, and I don't think it matters as much. I think he should be able to get out. He's just going to walk himself away, I think. Yeah, okay, he is.
Haha, BM time, baby. Look at me, Champ 7, Mastery 7, excuse me.
Here's the thing, though. Here's the thing with these early roams in the mid lane. It just does not matter as much. If you don't get the kill, you're not really forcing the Akali off unless you're getting so much health that she has to back. Puffle's MIA just isn't going to have mana issues anymore, and that's why it was so important in the first game that he was forcing so many uncomfortable positions. Rexalis should be okay. He's fighting in his wave, and indeed he is. But that's why it was so important that Puffle's MIA was uncomfortable in Game 1. In Game 2, you just can't abuse it like you can abuse an Azir early on. And so, yeah, I mean, he went mid early right there. He was able to force him off, but Puffle's MIA feels totally comfortable, doesn't have to back at all, and it just doesn't matter that much. And it's actually Mark Boots who's going to lose the TP advantage in Game 2.
Yep, that's the problem with picking this control mage into the Akali, right? Is you're gonna have to sacrifice some things in the early game to try and extend yourself later. Now that wasn't impossible for Puffle's MIA in game number 1, but now he's on the other side of that quandary. Is for the second game in a row, drafts showed a lot of lanes where kill pressure and kills in general could be the name of the game, but so far we haven't even had a summoners burned. We've had a disconnection as Tark drops off the map there, and we don't have a pause coming across yet. There it finally is as he reconnects, and well, that's gonna send us into a bit of a pause, and it seems like we are limping through this early game, ladies and gentlemen.
I think we might have found who was the issue in the first pause.
Oh my God. Sherlock Bonfire on the case,
know.
man. You got that one figured out.
I do proclaim. I actually don't. There's no. Wait, Sherlock Holmes doesn't say I do proclaim. I'm not sure where I got that from. What does he say? Elementary. Elementary, my dear Slayer.
Watson. Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Perfect. Okay, I appreciate it. I feel like I would be Watson, though, as the color, and you would be, Sherlock.
But Sherlock is way smarter than Watson.
Am I smarter than you?
I guess it depends on the topic, right?
I guess that's true. If we're talking like Philadelphia, sports teams, you probably have me beat.
Wow, that's a really narrowed down.
Everywhere else. No, I'm just kidding. If we're talking like niche flags, I might have you beat there. I'm good with my flags. I'm good with my flags.
You're good with your flags. Okay. Interesting.
I'm a flag.
I was trying to think of ways to quiz you on flags, but there's no way to do that.
It's like a visual thing. It's a very visual thing.
Oh, well, it doesn't matter. I found a way to do it, but who cares about flags? Because
we'll do it later. We'll do it later.
That's how me and Bonfire spend our pastime, by the way. We try to guess country flags.
And Philadelphia sports.
Right. We mix both those in concurrently, hand in hand. One flag question and one Philly sport question.
Gotta keep it even.
Well, so far the game's pretty even. 0-0. Nobody really wants to make the first move yet. And Jamarcus is really just playing the pressure game. Finally throws the first hook. There's a good knockup. He gets Loki Dosi. Turk, though, will try and turn. There's a good root. Ignite on top of both these AD carries and a trade of flashes. It does not matter. Turk picks up first blood. Jamarcus still has flash. A bit bad is going to show up. Gotta think he has to flash this flag and drag. Does flash the Turk knockup, grabs the hook, a bit bad under turret now, but he has enough of a shield to survive here. The Guardian rune pays off. Bonfire and TAP are first blood victors.
That's why you do not go for the first hook. Derricos wants to go in on Mark Boots, but he has flash. He should be totally fine.
Here comes the response. Oh, here's the turn. He doesn't need flash. He has
Ooh.
command shockwave, and Puffles MIA nearly pays the price. You always think you've got Mark Boots cornered, but he has you cornered constantly and nearly has the 2v1 outplay.
Does not get it, but that is a net win from TAP right there. Jamarcus just gets a little impatient in the bot side, and there was really no need to. I feel like they're doing a fine job pushing in these waves, getting themselves minor advantages. They just needed to wait until a little bit of jungle pressure. I think they were concerned about level 6 from Lokidosi alongside Turk. I think there were concerns that once Lokidosi and Turk got those level 6 power spikes, they were in a much better position for 1v1s or 2v2s. So, felt the pressure, wanted to go for a fight. Not a fight that they won. And Nimesum loses his life for it. The one plus in this is that Turk got the kill.
Sure, the Ignite did pick up that kill. I wonder, though, if Lokidosi, in a weird way, kind of wanted to get hooked because he was able to line up the snare. But I Am Sam might get snared himself into dying here as Rexalis does have the help of Derrickos. There's a good wind wall, so Derrickos can't drop any damage. Here comes the turn. Knockup comes across. Last breath. Cataclysm. Derrickos forced to flash. Two-man Cataclysm to create enough distance, but Derrickos is going to drop. Flash Q kill across for I Am Sam, and the gank is turned on its head. Cupid Esports can't find any avenues with their playmaking.
Rexalis just holding that ultimate for so long, wanted to get the perfect cast of it, but that's just going to be I Am Sam on a damage dealer. Ooh, here we go.
I don't know if Turk's the one you want to hook, though. Just so easily can get out, and just as much as he gets pulled across Summoner's Rift, pops right back to his teammate.
Yeah, it needs to be Mark Boots or it needs to be Lokidosi. Unless you have the damage and the CC chain to get Turk into an uncomfortable position. Mark Boots and Lokidosi, though, if you do hook them, that's like fight defining. That is the most important thing you can do. Jamarcus just needs to be able to get the president in these fights. Hasn't been able to do so right now. And again, we're just seeing some interesting things across the map. A bit bad doing a really good job of negating Derrickos. I talked about how Derrickos was a budding star in the jungle, but a bit bad. A little bit like the final boss right now, and feels like Derrickos just can't get over this hurdle. Every single time he wants to take something in these last two games, it's been negated by a bit bad. It's been negated by the solo lanes. And finally, this Dragon gonna go over to Cupid Esports. Only one of the last 5, or 2 of the last 5 that they've gotten. So this is a necessary one for them.
Are able to secure that good trade as the first Rift Herald was secured by a bit bad, but now I'm curious, you know, tempo-wise and confidence-wise, how Cupid Esports are going to respond here, because the only 2 kills in this game have come from their aggression and the perfect response from Team Ambition Power on both sides of the map.
Yeah, and again, a bit bad is just so smart with the way that he jungles. It's always a joy to watch him jungle. Has knowledge that Derrickos was going for the dragon, sees it pop up on the map. I'll just steal your camps, friend. Derrickos could make the big brain play here right here and go for the bottom jungle, but it doesn't look like he has that knowledge, and so he's just going to be missing out of CS right now because of that. Does have his support with him. I'm curious if he wants to go for something here. It just seems like they're going to be setting up in a bush. It's just wasted time. This entire time they're wasting time. They're not going to get anything for it. And then again, you look towards the top side, all of his camps are getting taken.
Yeah, they might even try and set up to turn onto Rexalis here. Because he will wander into that jungle. And hello, I Am Sam pops out of the bush. A bit bad here as well. It does dodge the first knockup. And is able to flash away for the second. So Last Breath can't come out just yet. And my god, this sword is way too tanky. It's like throwing a wet pool noodle at him with that sword from a bit Yasuo on I Am Sam. And he's able to escape, but they do pick up that summoner. So flash down for Rexalis for a bit.
Yeah, they played that really well. I think the only way that Flash gets punished is if they want to go for a possible tower dive. Turk is here. Puffles doesn't have E or Flash. Turk doesn't look like he wants to pull the trigger. Is going to force Puffle to miss a couple of minions right now because of his pathing. So I think they're happy enough with that. I think Turk did have an avenue, but I'm not sure if he knew that his Flash was down. Also had no knowledge of Derrickos, so just wanted to play it safe. And then this is what Lokidosi does best. I know it's boring. I know it's not what you want to see probably, but just does fantastic job at weak side. One of the best weak sides I think that I've ever seen in the Divine League. And is doing it to perfection right here, allowing Turk Boots to ensure that the mid lane feels comfortable, that there's no dive threats onto Mark Boots. Now going back to the bot side to help out his AD carry. But Lokidosi just absorbs the pressure so well.
And such a good job here from TAP to avoid this Blitzcrank pick, because Jamarcus wants to cause as much havoc as possible, and none of his hooks have really led to any sort of successful plays, and that makes Blitzcrank, useless in a lot of ways. He wants to do a lot of early pressure. He wants to accelerate a lane, and so far, 2/3 of his hooks, or sorry, half of his hooks, honestly, have ended up in demise for Cupid Esports.
Yeah, they just haven't been able to get what they want out of this Blitzcrank pick. I still think it can be useful late game. The Orianna is always going to be as immobile as ever, but at least in the early game, one of the strongest moments for it just hasn't gotten what they need out of it. Because of that, a lot of that falls to this 2,000 gold lead for TAP, making a strong case for a 2-0 right now. And it just really feels like Cupid Esports have yet to pull the trigger on a fight that they want, and the ones that they have been mistakes. Have yet to find really an unbelievable fight in these last 2 games. And so because of that, get stomped in game 1, and game 2 not looking great.
My God, I am Sam. Good dodge there to get away from the knockup, but he just
losing
does
the-
no
losing
damage
this
to
engagement.
Rexalis. I mean, are we sure he's not just healing him every time he auto attacks the Orin? Because Rexalis is taking negative damage in these trades and does put I Am Sam into a bit of a weird spot for the rest of this lane. But here we go. They pick out Mark Boots, knock up. There's a 2-man command shockwave. A bit bad shows up, and he is the valiant sacrifice. Mark Boots does survive. Turk tries to flash for the trade on a Puffles MIA, but it's traded by his own flash. And finally, Cupid Esports' pick comp comes up gold.
Yeah, and this is what I was talking about with Jamarcus. Just needs to get into this Orianna because Orianna really only has command shockwave to create distance. Turk was not close enough to help his mid laner out. Because of that, Mark Boots was in an uncomfortable position. A bit bad was the one who ended up taking the death for it, which ends up being good for Mark Boots. Doesn't have to sack too many waves, but it is a kill nonetheless, and it's going to be a kill over to the Akali. We saw how important that was on Mark Boots last game. If Puffles MIA can even get half the worth that Mark Boots got in game 1, it'll be an incredible champion addition for them.
Still about a 2,000 gold lead for Team Ambition. Power is they're just trying to scale up to create their own havoc with the team fights, and Loki Dusty has done a pretty perfect job in this bot lane. Make sure it doesn't have any kills, but farming very, very well, and has seemingly survived the initial onslaught the Namesome and Jamarcus' bot lane duo comes with. Now he has that ultimate that will keep him safe for just a bit. But now a bit bad. He's surrounded in the red side jungle. Flag and drag to create a little bit of distance, but here comes Puffles MIA. Flashes over the wall, and the Shadow Assassin follows him, but Puffles MIA does not want to go that far and is forced back. And now we'll turn their attention on to this Drake, the Chemtech Drake, our second Drake. And yeah, that ward in the back of pit means they can see this. Derikos, they will go for the steal, steps up, perfect execution there.
Beautiful.
Auto smite, and it's a stack going for Cupid Esports now as it's a Hextech Drake for our game 2. Here we go. Flash across, the charm still lands, the knockup as well. The root comes across from Loki Dosi, and Namesome is no one anymore. Sent to the gray screen. Great response from Team Mission Power. And Puffles MIA might want to get something back in the mid lane, but Mark Boots is far and away enough comfortable in that spot. Jamarcus will line the hook up. Tark tries to dash away. The second dash to his ally comes across so low, and he'll be able to limp away. And now I Am Sam as the teleport coming across. A bit bad has showed up. Derikos will be the next victim of Loki Dosi. So low. He's not dead just yet. The Q will come across, and look at this. I Am Sam for the second game in a row teleports bot and gets himself a free kill.
Oh no, it's a disaster. They go for that kill in the bot side. I Am Sam so good with his teleports right there. It felt like the tide was turning towards them. And just like that, it's a 4,000 gold deficit for them. Again, they lose that first tower in the bot side. Again, I Am Sam is suddenly hyper scaling. Loki Dosi has done nothing all game to help his case but wait. But all you need is patience sometime. It's a virtue, as you always hear, and Loki Dosi's the best at it. Puffles MIA is desperately trying to create his own plays, trying to create his own advantages, but just isn't able to get anything. And man, what a disaster. Just when you think Cupid Esports has found their way back into this series, Team Ambition Power slap him down.
And where do all these plays start with? It's always Turk. Sets up that first kill beautifully with the charm knock-up on an aim summon. Even when he's trying to run away, he essentially baits Cupid Esports into chasing him. He gets down to about, gotta be 50 HP, but walks away. And what is he doing as he walks away? He's smiling back at them Bonfire because he brought Cupid Esports right into the death trap.
Yeah, no, Turk has played this so incredibly well. I think you also have to give credit to a bit bad. Has played this Jarvan so well. 3 out of 5 KPA or KP. Tied for best on his team with his bot lane. Just done a really good job. Here's the power of Jamarcus, though.
Ooh, good knockup to cancel the flag and dragon. Here comes Turk with the double charm, but can he save his jungler? No. Namesome will pick up that kill, and Turk now under threat. There's a piercing arrow. Namesome finally putting his name in the hat. A huge double kill to get his Varus accelerated.
Marcus just does not want to end this support debate right now. We talk about how good Turk is, but honestly, I think Jamarcus has had a resurgence on this Blitzcrank. Didn't have the early game that he wanted, and he said, you know what, we ball, and just decides to go all the way out. Just decides to do whatever he wants. And what it's been is he's not looking for the hook into the E. It's the E into the hook. Get in their face, knock them up, and then you always get the hook. Real Blitzcrank names know the tech, doing a really good job of playing this champion the best that he can. And doing a really good job of setting up these plays. And alongside the Rexalis and Derricos, I mean, it feels like that was the Wombo. And, I mean, it's supposed to be a TAP with the Wombo.
Well, I mean, they were surrounded by 4, and they had none of their damage champions on the Wombo combo. So we'll see if the slander they've been throwing at this Wombo all draft long will finally come back to bite you. But right now, there's a good dodge from Loki Dosi. So Demarcus' hook goes a bit wide. And on the other side, Puffle's MIA might be the next target. A bit bad. No vision, but a whiff command shockwave might keep him safe. A bit bad. Flash. Still wants to tussle. But that Guardian J4 ain't doing any damage anytime soon.
Yep, Puffles had flash as well. So really good. Smart of them, you know, deciding not to go for that.
Ooh, Turk hits the go button immediately. There's the knockup as well, and the combo comes across. Namesome couldn't even blink before he was sent to the great screen.
Yeah, and that's the power of Turk right there. Doing a fantastic job of acknowledging when he has these kill opportunities. Namesome just hasn't been able to do anything. Derricos is in a ton of trouble here.
Derricos chilling in the bush, might be the next victim, but Turk a bit bad. They've overextended before, and they might be caught once again.
No command
Perfect execution. Puffles MIA picks up that kill. A bit bad will die on the other end, and now Mark Boots might be under the next assault. This Akali farming now in the hands of Puffles MIA, and just when TAP start to pull away, Cupid Esports claw right back.
They're not ready to go to bed yet. They say they want to stay up. They want to hang out with their friends. They don't want to go to bed yet. They do not want this series to end, and they're playing like it is the last series they'll ever play. This game has just switched hands time and time again. Still a 2,000 gold lead, but these ornaments in the next 5 minutes are going to strengthen that gold lead. I am Sam is going to be safe, but this Rift Herald, again, it's going to give them a tower. There's no way that Team Ambition Power can trade anything for it, so that's just a gold grabbed. Ooh, it's just dangerous. They're pathing dangerous right there, but they're able to survive. And with Dragon up right here, this might be the first 5v5. This might be the first Wombo opportunity we've seen.
Well, hold on. Turk doesn't have ultimate. No Cataclysm on a bit bad as well. So they're down a couple of key ultimates. And all of them are online for Cupid Esports. So the Wombo might have to come on hold here. The Drake getting jockeyed. Derricos is going to step a bit back, a bit of a wall being taken between these two squads. But Jamarcus is going to start the action. He gets the hook onto a bit bad. He's able to escape. And there's the Wombo, a beautiful knockup. Last breath comes across, and they pick off the Akali and the Blitzcrank. And Loki Dosi is finding the kills. There's the Featherstorm. He jukes out Call of the Forge God. Loki Dosi is putting on a show, and Team Ambition Power are going to pick everything up for it.
It was a hook, but it was the wrong hook to find. Jamarcus brings in a bit bad, and if they just had a little bit more damage, they would be able to get that kill for practically nothing, but the flag and drag knocks them up, and I Am Sam is always going to take that opportunity. The Wombo is only a mini one, but we talked about how strong it could be in the draft throughout this entire game. It feels like it's been the storyline this entire game. And right there, we get to see it in all of its action. And yeah, you can put 5 Fakers right there. They ain't doing anything. They get blown up in a 3v5. Loki Dosi feasts in that opportunity. Puffles MIA. There's no low health bars for you to find. They're all going to be able to survive here. Jamarcus misses a hook and ensures that it's going to be an ace, a dragon, and a baron for nothing. And just when you think Cupid Esports, just when you think they're back in this game, Team Ambition Power, they're like dictators. They will not allow for anything.
And take us through this fight, Bonfire, because a bit bad certainly wasn't the target you wanted to hook.
No, they grabbed a bit bad. Again, just a little bit more damage here. If they get this, it's something. But the knockup, it's actually not the flag and drag. And yeah, that's actually about That's actually about the full Wombo combo. And Rexalis, Nimesum, Derikos, they're wondering where the rest of their team and went. College the Four God, just way too late. Lokidosi, man. The footwork, so beautiful. Able to dodge out on all of the possible CC. And Rexalis, yeah, he might be tanky, but he's missing out on that damage. Loses his life for it. So it's an Ace, a Dragon, a Baron. I'm sure some towers are going to come through as well. 5,000 gold lead, but I wouldn't call this for Team Ambition power yet. I know in the last game I said, you know, this game feels over when it was about the same, but I still do feel like there's quite a lot that Cupid Esports has to play for. Still feel like that there's a way that they can get back in this game.
Well, that play was spicy, though. That's exactly, I need some milk. You know, he needs some milk, I heat right now, Bonfire, because that Wombo was sweet to watch. The double knockup from Rakan into the command shockwave, last breath over top. Those two had zero chance in Puffles MIA and Jamarcus from doing anything further. And got to talk about the magnitude of that fight one, because if it doesn't go the way of TAP, Cupid Esports, they pick up Soul Point. They maybe are able to get on the Baron themselves, but now they're in a bit of a hole, and Jamarcus wants to get out of it. There's the good change of corruption. Turk can't even move a bit, but here's the Cataclysm over top. They trade out Nimesum, and Mark Boots and Lokidosi are doing the work. Taking Rexalis still running for the hills. He'll get rooted up, but I Am Sam has arrived on a rampage, picks off Jamarcus. But Puffles MIA tries to respond. He's knocked out of perfect execution, though. And I Am Sam running amok in the back line. A triple kill. He'll die in glory. And TAP win another big fight.
Not only do they win another big fight, I think they're going to be able to take this. Rexalis has to find a way to be able to clear this bot wave. Nimesum, he is up in 3 seconds, but with Baron waves, oh, I'm not sure if this wave's strong enough anymore. And indeed, they recognize it. So the wave doesn't last as long as they might want. Nimesum's back. Rexalis might want to get Mark Boots here, but without ultimate, I'm not sure if this is possible. The Big Bad's waiting in the wing.
He's just playing Protector right there. The Guardian J4, ladies and gentlemen. Just making sure Mark Boots can run out of there completely safe. And TAP, well, they don't take the Nexus like Bonfire you thought, but really good resolve to just play back, let the wave shove back in, and play for another huge Wombo. They want the Wombo to work, and they know everybody at home wants to see its beauty in all magnitude.
Yeah, 100% Lokidosi just surviving with the skin of his teeth. That's that new Hex Tech. New. Not even new anymore. It's been around for a little bit now. But that's the Hex Tech coming into its full effect. Lokidosi, though, has played this game about as well as you can. And then I Am Sam, I think, was the unsung hero in that last fight, doing a fantastic job. I think that knockup on Puffles MIA with his second cast of the perfect execution kept so much of his team alive, because felt like Puffles MIA was just ready to feast on the low health bars, but wasn't able to. Got knocked up. The damage did not land, and because of that, Puffles MIA wasn't able to get the damage across. Right now has the most kills on Cupid Esports, and so if something's going to happen, it feels like Puffles MIA needs to be the catalyst for this. He needs to be able to blow up Lokidosi, but Lokidosi has Turk alongside him, and feels like this Rakan is one of the best champions for that.
Here they go. Charm Pot. Can they get on top of Jamarcus? No, he is able to walk away. So actually, that was just a speed up from Turk, so no the quickness utilized just yet. Puffles MIA in the side lane will be able to get a bit of objective gold, bounty gold, excuse me, back. Does take down that top turret. And TAP, they're just going to set up camp in this bot side. Look how forward they are. They want this tier 2 knocked down, and they will end up catching out Rexalis, but that was the wrong target. They don't want to even try fighting him. Way too tanky. They do get the consolation prize. The tier 2 turret drops, and TAP are just chipping away at this blue side base.
Yeah, and you always hear about how the mid 2 tier 2 is such an important power for you to get, and that's because it just opens up the jungle for you. Look at the vision that they have. It is their jungle now. Look at all of that vision. It is so red in the bot jungle. Derikos learns that the hard way. Cannot walk in there at all. And so that bot jungle is all theirs. The Dragon's just a formality, and indeed they do get it. They have no vision in the top jungle, but with Baron up in a minute, I don't think they're too concerned about it right now. I think right now all they have to do is back, get themselves some wards, push out as a team, get vision in the top side, and ensure that that this Baron isn't contested over. If you're Cupid Esports, it feels like you need to get this Baron. If you do not get this Baron, I think the game might be over.
There is a lot of standing gold top side. There's no turrets knocked down from TAP towards the top side of the map, which is prolonging this game a lot because those waves, so hard for them to crash deeper down. And Team Ambition Power now trying to set up around that Drake pit like you talked about, Bonfire, and they're just going to play that vision game. The only way these Wombos work out, folks, if you win the real war, which is the ward score.
Yeah, no, they need to get that vision. Rexalis, again, just being pulled into these side waves from I Am Sam, and I Am Sam will win this fight now. After a while, Rexalis is going to take a while to die, but he will eventually win that if given enough time.
He's full armored up, right? The Radiant Virtue giving a little bit of extra sauce, but the Randuin's Omen armored plate steel caps. He's making sure I Am Sam can't even tickle him as Jamarcus does miss a hook. I wonder if that accelerates TAP to go for the dive. That would be pretty brash, but no, they're still just going to dance around the blue side base, trying to crack another lane besides the spot side. And it's only a matter of time before they hit that giant green go button, and here they go. Turk, jazz forward, Charm goes across. Nasum doesn't even get to play the game, folks. Loki Dosi is godlike, and that was only a bit of what this Wombo can do. Now going forward, double knockup, last breath comes across. I Am Sam is unlocked. Rexalis can maybe tanky, but he is finally dead, and Loki Dosi with the pullback on the Featherstorm picks up another double kill. It's another beautifully executed fight, and it might be just the last breath from Cupid Esports.
Team Ambition Power playing this one to perfection, ensuring that there is no possible avenue that Cupid Esports can find a way back into it. Puffle's MIA might want to try to go for something here. A bit bad getting low. Puffle's going to try to find something, but nothing going to be there. And that is going to do it, I'd imagine.
Stopwatch from I Am Sam. The perfect bait. They also pick off Jamarcus. They shut down the Varus before he even can step out of the fountain. And Team Ambition Power, a statement game 2 win. A statement series win. These guys are one hell of a team to look out for in Division 2.
Yeah, it just goes to show the difference between 4-1 team and a 3-2 team. Cupid Esports is a good team, but Team Ambition Power is a great team and a possible title contending team. It's hard to pick any faults from their 2 wins. They showed it on 2 completely different styles of comps. They have a way that they win these games. I Am Sam, just fantastic with the teleports, able to hold himself in lane. Loki Dosi, the weak side king. Mark Boots creates his own disadvantages in the mid lane. Yeah, and pushes out so much damage. And then a bit bad, in my eyes, the real MVP, just, it feels like he's the mastermind behind it all. If you've ever seen a Truman Show, the movie, it feels like he's the guy inside of the moon, moving all of his actors around, ensuring that it is the perfect broadcast. And right there, he was putting on a pretty damn good show.
And this time, once again, you see on our post-game breakdown, Mark Boots, sneaky amount of damage. Those control mages, man, they can really climb up the damage charts, but Loki Dosi certainly seemed like the star of this show, and you can see the gold breakdown on top side of the screen. Maybe it looks like somebody took a little bit of a bite out of Mount Everest this time around Bonfire, but the peak is still there at the end of the day.
Yeah, I think Cupid Esports can be proud of the fact that they fought in this second game. I again still think they're a very good team. I think that they're a team that is going to make playoffs, and I expect them to put up hell in playoffs. But man, I think if there's one thing that today proved to me is that it is heavy at the top, and right now it's heavy towards the side of TAP. I really am curious to see how these other 2 4-1 teams now do, and I think that's really going to be what we want to see. I'm hoping we get to see Team Ambition Power versus these other 2 4-1 teams, because other than that game 1 shocker against Team Ambition Power, they've looked they looked undeniable. I'm almost positive, actually, I'll check while you're talking, I think they've 2-0'd every single opponent.
Well, it doesn't matter now because they've now been set down to 3-3. So Cupid Esports, depending how Forgotten Kingdoms game goes this week, which double checking here, I'm pretty sure they will be going against Indiana Hoosiers, who are 1-4. So very much likely locking 2 teams into 3-3, heading into our final week of action for the last Bond Division 2. And now Team Ambition Power, they'll at least put themselves in a three-way tie potentially for that top spot at 5-1. And the narratives are already starting to show Bonfire, because the interesting thing is, if you look back to the last split, the fall 2022 to close out that year, we saw Team Ambition. It wasn't I Am Sam, but it was still Mark Boots, Turk, Loki Dosi, and a bit bad. That team made it to finals only to lose to a collegiate monster roster in Purdue University. Do you know who the monster roster is in Division One right now? UCI Esports.
Yeah, no, they're 4-1. They're dominating the other side of their bracket. They've got a fantastic roster. I just took a gander. So TAP did drop 2 maps in their last 4 series, but those 2 maps were to Team Death Knights Obsidian and Piggy Eats respectively. So and they handed them both losses. It was 2-1 wins for them. So they've yeah, honestly, the other 4-1 teams are 4-1 because Team Ambition Power has beaten them. I mean, Team Ambition Power is a force to be reckoned with for every sense of the word. And I'm hoping that they go against UCI at some point. Hopefully, the finals. Honestly, I think that's if I had to predict the finals, that's my early finals prediction. Although based on today's results, I think my predictions mean tiddly squat.
Oh, yeah, well, didn't certainly go your way this time, but hey, still a very exciting day of League of Legends action. I want to shout out Loki Dosi, who jumped into the chat there to say they love to bring more hype with as many games as they possibly can play. You, sir, brought the hype tonight, especially in that last game on Zaya, and I'm going to put you in the tough spot here, Bonfire, because Loki Dosi, I think, is undeniably our Game 2 MVP with that performance, but overall, who do you even crown as the champion of this showcase match from Team Ambition Power?
I think they had a lot. I mean, well, first of all, they had everything rolling. I don't think there's somebody that you could really single out. I think Turk had some fantastic plays. I am Sam as well. Loki Dosi, the weak side king, just did so well at absorbing pressure and then coming late game and having an incredible end. I think Mark Boots and a bit bad are my final two, but I just have to give the nod
No
to a bit
Loki?
bad.
He doesn't
Hey,
even make that list?
Loki's great, but again, I talked about it a bit bad. Just felt like the puppeteer. It felt like every single game against a really formidable jungler in Derrickos, he just had the game on lock. It was very Canyon-esque, just in the sense of like he was ensuring that things went his way. There was nothing on the map that he was going to be surprised by. Everything was by his doing, and I don't know. For me, that matters a lot more than individual play. I think Lokidosi had the best skill, the best, obviously that in that dragon fight had some incredible footwork, but I was just so impressed by the macro of a bit bad that I have to give it to the jungler of TAP.
Well, I have complete trouble even picking out. I don't even think I can crown one. Because
Well, you have
there's
to.
so many. I don't have to do anything.
Well,
I could play by my own rules in
wow.
this domain on this caster desk because I predicted the true champion this week, Bonfire. So that's how we're gonna play it.
All right,
But
all
if
right, all right.
there's just so many guys that stand out. This team played so well as a complete unit. You know, I am Sam on the top side. He played weak side very, very well, and he teleported down both games and just completely blew up any play the Cupid Esports was trying to play as well. Was able to get a lot of really good knockups on the Yasuo late in that game. It's hard to play Yasuo at this level, especially against the amount of crowd control Cupid Esports brought. You touched on a bit bad. Mark Boots looks like he should be playing in the North American Challengers League when he takes Akali against some of these players because it's masterful. You know, perfect execution. You said that ultimate personifies his play on Akali. He showed it tonight. Loki Dosi, the footwork on his Zaya was nuts, and I love Turk. I sound like a Team Ambition Power homer, but if they play like this week in and week out, it's hard not to be.
Yeah, I think you might be a TA homer, but I think that's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. They play fun, they play interesting. We obviously have that connection to a lot of their players, just in the sense of it was both of our first grand finals casting when they ended up winning. So that was a very special moment for both of us. So a lot of those players have a special place in my heart. I'm hoping for some new blood in the playoffs. I'm hoping for close series. As much fun as it is watching TAP stomp the rest of the field, I want to see them when the going gets tough. I want to see them sweat a little bit. But at the end of the day, I can't make that happen. If they stomp everybody, they stomp everybody. And at the moment, I just don't see another team in their division that can step up to this powerhouse of a squad.
Well, I don't know exactly which game we'll see next week. It obviously won't be myself and Bonfire. We might be involved in the broadcast. I can't honestly remember off the top of our head.
I
But
think we're hosting.
honestly, regardless of what happens, Division 1 is honestly more of a barn burner because I don't know how some of these games are going to shake out, but looking across, every single team except UCI Esports JV is either 3-2 or 2-3. So I'm assuming we're going to have a Division 1 game on slate. And that literally could be the defining factor between a squad making the playoffs or missing it. Regardless how it turns out, it's going to be a bombastic final week of the regular season. You won't want to miss that. To tune back in next Tuesday to watch that series. But don't worry, Risen Faithful. I know you guys don't want to wait a week. Slayer, I need more league action on Risen Esports. Well, don't worry. The Draft League comes back on Friday. You have Unstoppable showcasing, I believe it's actually Dominant on Saturday as well. After that, you have, or actually, I'm switching them, Bonfire, aren't I? It's Unstoppable on Saturday, Dominant on Sunday, Draft on Friday.
Yep.
Just so much action on the weekend, and then you can come right back over on Tuesday to watch the Divine League finish out its regular season. Shout out to Caddy behind the scenes as our production manager. Always so fun to work with. He is the lifeblood of Divine League, ladies and gentlemen. Bonfire, you might have gotten the prediction wrong, but it was a pleasure as always casting alongside you. I've been Slayer. That's going to close out our Divine League slate. And next time we see you guys, it might just be playoffs time. But until then, keep rocking on Summoner's Rift, and we'll see you when we see you.